Chapter 879. As Wang Delin's grandfather, Wang Daochong knew that his grandson not only had a heavenly spirit root, but also a water spirit body. Naturally, he was very excited. Although I have an 8-inch fire spirit root, I have 3 spirit roots. It has always been my regret that I can't become a cultivator with 2 spirit roots. My and Yuqing's children's talents are not as good as mine. I didn't expect such a peerless genius to come from my grandchildren. Delin, come with me to your grandmother's grave to report the good news. His Dao partner was Wang Daoyuan's cousin, Yang Yuqing. Her talent was only average, and she had passed away many years before she could open her purple palace. Wang Daochong was also an infatuated person. He had not remarried for so many years. This was similar to Wang Daoyuan. However, Wang Daoyuan was forced to do so. The 2 of them had 4 children, and all of them had spirit roots. However, their talents were not very good. The one with the best spirit root was only a 3-inch spirit root. His main spirit root was only 6 inches. It was far inferior to Wang Daochong. When Yang Yuqing was alive, she had always been troubled by this. Now that there was an extremely talented descendant, it could be considered as a consolation to his late wife's soul. Wang Daoyuan also returned to his underground cave abode and continued with his own matters. Although there were no urgent matters, there were still many small matters. For example, he could improve his blacksmithing and array formation skills to refine higher-level puppets. He could also improve his Earth Divine Lightning and Ice Fire Divine Lightning to the 5th level. The next time he went to the Qixing Sea Xiuxian community, he would have a way to hide his identity. The 8 elders of the Valley of Beasts were watching over the East Sea, so there was no need to worry about the demon beasts rampaging in the sea. Ever since the peace talks between the humans and demons, many itinerant cultivators had flooded into the northern mountains. There were also many itinerant cultivators at the border between the human and demon territories. According to the information spread by these itinerant cultivators, the demons of the Sky/Mountain Range and the demons of the extreme Arctic ice plains had been fighting both openly and secretly. Both sides were fighting over the overlapping area of the Sky/Mountain Range and the extreme Arctic ice plains. They had no time to look for trouble in the south. The demon beasts of the West Sea also did not make any movements. This gave the humans enough time to develop. Unless a 6th-level demon beast appeared, there was no doubt that the humans would suppress the demons. The demons stopped, and Wang Daoyuan was not disturbed. Just like that, he spent 5 years in seclusion in the underground cave of the Jade Spring Peak. During this period of time, nothing major happened. He used high-grade Tier 4 materials to refine a low-grade Tier 5 flying warship, and then he used high-grade Tier 4 materials to refine a low-grade Tier 5 magic artifact. This method had an extremely good effect on the refinement level. Over the past 5 years, his proficiency in smithing and formations had reached the 5th grade intermediate tier. Along the way, he had also upgraded the Earth Element Divine Lightning and the Fire Element Divine Lightning to the 5th grade. He still wanted to refine a mid-grade Tier 5 sword puppet, but at this time, Wang Mingchen sent news that he was about to undergo the Jindan Heavenly Tribulation. Wang Daoyuan did not dare to delay this matter, and immediately headed for Clear Glass City. When they arrived at the palace, the 12th uncle and the 3rd brother were there. Even the 2nd brother, Wang Daoxing, was there. Wang Daoyuan asked, "Second brother, when did you form your gold core? Why didn't you tell me?" Wang Daoxing smiled and said, "With sufficient Tier 4 magic artifacts, I was unscathed after transcending 9 golden core heavenly tribulations. There's no need to disturb your seclusion for such a small matter. After the tribulation, nephew Mingchen will give me the title of Count and the position of Deputy Hall Master of the Guardian Hall." Wang Daoyuan nodded. "Cultivate well. I also have some treasures that can assist in the nascent soul formation. When the family has a few more Yuanian cultivators, I can leave Beiyuan at ease and search for opportunities to break through to the soul formation realm." Then he asked Wang Mingchen, "It's a little too hasty for you to try to form your gold core now. Do you want to accumulate for a few more years?" Wang Mingchen replied, "Father, I have already completed my cultivation technique conversion 3 years ago. With the help of the Red Luan's Nirvana fire, I only used half a year to comprehend the fire element laws. I extracted the spiritual energy in the Red Luan's Nirvana fire, and used a secret technique to nurture the vermilion bird phenomenon. Since a year ago, my Dao-seeking cultivation has been unable to advance, and the vermilion bird phenomenon has been unable to continue strengthening. I feel that I have accumulated enough. If I continue to delay, I will only let my thoughts run wild and disturb my state of mind. To have accumulated to the point where he could not advance, his foundation was considered not bad. Back then, in order to avoid being suppressed by the Netherworld sect, he did not accumulate to such an extent. Wang Daoyuan took out a storage bag. Since your cultivation can't advance, it's time to form your gold core. I can't help you much. Inside are Dharma artifacts to resist the heavenly tribulation and some grade 4 healing pills. As for the place to transcend the tribulation, it will be at the foot of the heavenly/mountain range's main mountain range. Wang Mingchen took the storage bag. Thank you, father. Wang Daoyuan said to the 12th uncle and the others, I will protect Mingchen. It will take about half a year. During this time, I will leave the Yen kingdom to you guys. Wang Shi smiled and said, Don't worry. It has been peaceful all these years, and there are fewer official matters. If there is really something that can't be resolved, I will send you a message. Wang Daoyuan brought Wang Mingchen and flew towards the east. Near the main vein of the heavenly/mountain range, the concentration of spirit qi was very close to middle grade 5. There was no need to worry about spirit qi if he formed his gold core here. Wang Mingchen found a flat piece of land and sat cross-legged. He began to circulate his cultivation technique, and the surrounding spirit qi surged towards him. Soon, a spirit qi vortex with a diameter of more than 10 feet appeared. The concentration of spirit qi here was high and could easily satisfy the needs of cultivators to form their gold core. It was not easy for spirit qi vortexes to appear. It was already very difficult for this spirit qi vortex to be 10 feet in diameter. He also had a 9.7-inch heaven spirit root. Among cultivators with heaven spirit roots, he was as rare as a phoenix's feather. With such talent, as long as there were no major problems, there was almost no possibility of him failing to form his gold core. Wang Daoyuan was not worried. He found a place nearby and waited for Wang Mingchen to form his gold core. Half a year passed quickly. The spirit qi vortex above Wang Mingchen's head expanded rapidly and soon grew to a diameter of more than 200 feet. Suddenly, a white jade ball appeared out of thin air. This ball had a diameter of 8.7 inches. There were many cultivators who had formed their gold core in Xueqi, but it was extremely rare for a gold core to exceed 8.7 inches. For more than 10,000 years an 8.7-inch gold core was second only to Wang Daoyuan's. When the gold core landed on Wang Mingchen's body, his spirit qi fluctuations also increased rapidly. Soon, it surpassed the average early-stage golden core cultivator. At this moment, a gray cloud appeared in the sky. The cloud layer continued to expand and eventually reached 100 miles in size. It was rare for a gold core heavenly tribulation cloud to reach 100 miles. For more than 10,000 years, the only person who could reach this level was Wang Daoyuan. With the recovery of spirit qi, it was even easier to reach this level. Overall, Wang Mingchen's talent was slightly inferior to Wang Daoyuan's. However, the power of the heavenly tribulation would not be too bad. Soon, white heavenly lightning fell from the clouds. Wang Mingchen did not want to waste his spirit qi on the first 9 heavenly tribulations, so he directly took out a magic artifact to resist. An hour later, all 9 heavenly tribulations fell. Wang Mingchen was unscathed, but 5 level 4 magic artifacts were destroyed. The tribulation cloud in the sky began to surge violently. 15 minutes later, countless crimson flames fell from the sky. The magic artifact soft armor on Wang Mingchen's body was instantly burned to ashes. That soft armor was a level 4 low-grade magic artifact made by Lei Yan Zhenren. Seeing the flames, Wang Daoyuan was both happy and worried. The stronger the minor divine ability tribulation, the more powerful the minor divine ability awakened. This divine ability tribulation was already so powerful at the beginning, so the minor divine ability was naturally not ordinary. The possibility of awakening the Nanmingli fire was still very high. However, it was not easy to pass such a powerful heavenly tribulation. Wang Mingchen did not wait. Wrapped in red spirit qi, he turned into a vermilion bird and shuttled back and forth in the flames of the heavenly tribulation. Soon, a large sea of fire followed behind the vermilion bird. These flames were seized from the heavenly tribulation. After controlling these flames, the aura of the vermilion bird phantom increased significantly. The 2 seas of fire were entangled for 15 minutes, but the sea of fire did not gain the upper hand. At this moment, a loud phoenix cry came from the tribulation cloud. A vermilion bird swooped down from the tribulation cloud at an extremely fast speed. Wang Mingchen was directly pressed to the ground by the tribulation vermilion bird, and the vermilion bird phantom on his body dissipated instantly. Chapter 880. Wang Daoyuan felt a chill run down his spine when he saw how powerful the minor mystical ability tribulation was. It had only been 15 minutes, and the vermilion bird had already beaten Wang Mingchen to the point where he couldn't even fight back. Under normal circumstances, the minor mystical ability tribulation would last for at least an hour, and there would still be 15 minutes left. Under such circumstances, it would be difficult for Wang Mingchen to hold on for another 15 minutes. Wang Daoyuan was a little anxious, but he couldn't interfere with the heavenly tribulation. Otherwise, he would really be harming Wang Mingchen. At this moment, Wang Mingchen opened his mouth and let out an angry roar. However, this roar didn't sound like a human's voice. Instead, it sounded more like a phoenix's cry. Then, a crimson flame surged out of his body. It was exactly the same as the heavenly tribulation flame. The heavenly tribulation flame didn't target outsiders, so Wang Daoyuan couldn't really feel its power. However, when Wang Mingchen's flame appeared, the surrounding rocks and ground began to melt. Only the legendary Grand Sun Primordial Fire and Nanming Primordial Fire could have such power. These two types of spirit fire were both known to be able to burn everything in the world, but the way they burned everything was different. The true sun flame's power relied on its blazing yang energy. The Nanming Li fire relied on its violent fire spirit power to destroy everything. Wang Mingchen had the vermilion bird avatar and a high concentration of the vermilion bird bloodline. This flame was definitely the Nanming Li fire. Once the Nanming Li fire appeared, it began to burn fiercely. Soon, Wang Mingchen's entire body was enveloped by the Nanming Li fire, protecting him from the heavenly tribulation flame. Under his control, the Nanming Li fire began to fight back and compete with the heavenly tribulation flame for spirit qi. At first, the vermilion bird pressed Wang Mingchen to the ground and suppressed him. After tossing and turning for a quarter of an hour, he gradually could not suppress it any longer. The vermilion bird's attack couldn't break through the Nanming Li fire. Wang Mingchen also took this opportunity to force the vermilion bird back and use his escape technique to escape from its control. Tribulation transcendence was a waste of time. The minor mystical ability tribulation only lasted for about an hour. Now that there were only 15 minutes left, he would win if he could endure it. The tribulation clouds in the sky began to surge again, and more heavenly tribulation power descended to kill Wang Mingchen's head. With the heavenly tribulation power, the vermilion bird's power, Wang Mingchen's movement technique was quite extraordinary, and the heavenly tribulation vermilion bird was unable to catch up to him. Soon, boundless crimson flames descended from the tribulation clouds, turning the surrounding area into a sea of fire. Wang Mingchen activated the Nanming Primordial Fire with all his might to fight against the heavenly tribulation flames, but he was still at a disadvantage. In the sea of fire, his speed was severely affected. The heavenly tribulation vermilion bird quickly flew over and enveloped him with its wings. Everywhere was fiery red, and Wang Daoyuan could not see the situation inside clearly. He wanted to save Wang Mingchen, but he didn't dare to. Once he interfered with the heavenly tribulation, the next thing he would have to endure was the heavenly punishment. Both father and son would have to die here. Although his heart was burning with anxiety, he still had to wait. A quarter of an hour passed by quickly, and the oppressive might beneath the tribulation clouds disappeared. The tribulation clouds began to turn golden in color. This meant that he had successfully transcended the tribulation, but the scarlet flames on Wang Mingchen's body were still burning fiercely. Wang Daoyuan immediately released Yinglong to absorb the flames, in case Wang Mingchen couldn't hold on. Soon, the heavenly tribulation flames were completely absorbed, and Wang Mingchen's vitality was extremely weak. He quickly took out the Azure Dragon Pearl and used the Azure Dragon Reversal to save Wang Mingchen. The effect of the Azure Dragon Reversal was still strong. Wang Mingchen's vitality quickly stabilized and showed signs of continuing to strengthen. Wang Daoyuan heaved a sigh of relief. At least his son's life was saved. When the gifts of heaven and earth descended, all injuries could be healed. A quarter of an hour later, the tribulation clouds turned completely golden. Petals scattered from the golden clouds, and these petals gathered on Wang Mingchen's body. the phenomenon of heavenly flowers falling appeared again. The auspicious clouds in the sky were still very thick. This gifts of heaven and earth would most likely last for a long time. Just a quarter of an hour later, Wang Mingchen woke up. Father, my minor theurgy is the Nanming primordial fire. I succeeded. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, I saw it before. It's just that the minor theurgy tribulation is too dangerous. Fortunately, you're safe and sound. My injuries are now completely healed. There are enough gifts of heaven and earth. I can't absorb them all by myself. You should absorb some too. Looking at the auspicious clouds, the gifts of heaven and earth should last for a long time. Inform the other clansmen and let them absorb some too. Wang Daoyuan shook his head. I don't need these anymore. I'll leave them for the other clansmen. With that said, he took out a communication jade talisman and sent a message to the 12th uncle, asking him to bring some clansmen over. Especially little uncle, Zhao Liang, and 8th sister. It was still quite difficult for them to form their cores. Absorbing the gifts of heaven and earth could increase their body's potential, and their future path would be easier. This place was less than 5,000 kilometers away from Clear Glass City, and less than 5,000 kilometers from Jade Spring Peak. With a 5th-grade flying ship, it would only take an hour. Back then, his gifts of heaven and earth lasted for more than 2 hours. There was still a lot of time left. An hour later, a 5th-grade flying ship flew over from the northwest. Some young children came down from the flying ship. Finally, it was little uncle and the other two. Little uncle was still a little embarrassed. We're going to bask in the glory of the younger generation. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile. It's not about basking in the glory. It's all for the future of the clan. Everyone walked under the auspicious clouds and absorbed the gifts of heaven and earth. Wang Daoyuan scanned with his divine sense and found that a handsome young man was absorbing the gifts of heaven and earth at an extremely fast speed. Upon closer inspection, he found that this young man was Wang Delin. He was only 15 years old now, and his cultivation was already at the peak of qi refinement. With a heavenly spiritual root and a spiritual body, his cultivation speed was a little scary. It seemed that the third brother also wanted him to settle down and strengthen his foundation. After all, foundation establishment was related to qi and blood. It was better to wait until he reached adulthood. If he was too hasty, it would affect his future. Not long after, a tiger flew over from the west. It was Yuan. He was carrying 3 people on his back. One of them was a strong man in a black leather robe. It was Dahe. The other was a thin and tall young man in a black scale-patterned robe. It was Wang Minglong. There was also a guy in an aqua-blue scale-patterned robe. He looked quite similar to Wang Minglong, but Wang Daoyuan had never seen him before. Yuan flew directly under the auspicious clouds before landing, greedily absorbing the gifts of heaven and earth. Wang Daoyuan asked the blue-robed young man, Are you the arowana of the 12th uncle? When did you transform? The blue-robed young man cupped his hands and said, In response to your question, I woke up 3 years ago. You were in seclusion at that time. Master was afraid of disturbing you, so he took me to the serene mountain to transcend the tribulation. After I succeeded in transcending the tribulation, I also transformed. Master named me Wang Xianlong. After transforming, I, Minglong, and Yuan suppressed the demonic beasts at the Baichuan Lake. Wang Xianlong seemed to be more obedient, unlike Wang Minglong, whose eyes never stopped rolling. One look and one could tell that he was not someone easy to deal with. Wang Daoyuan nodded and didn't say anything else. Soon, another white cloud floated over from the north. When it got closer, a golden ape jumped down from the white cloud. It was the thunder ape. The gifts of heaven and earth had a fatal attraction to spirit beasts. After another hour, the gifts of heaven and earth slowly ended. Uncle Wang Shouja led everyone back. After everyone left, Wang Mingchen took out a crimson flame. Father, I used the gifts of heaven and earth to condense the Nanmingli fire. This scene made Wang Daoyuan's eyelids twitch. It took a lot of effort to condense the spiritual fire for Zhou Wan. Now, his son could condense the spiritual fire so quickly. The flame in front of him emitted a terrifying heat. After the surrounding plants absorbed the gifts of heaven and earth, they had almost recovered, but now they quickly withered. Wang Daoyuan probed with his divine sense, and the power of his divine sense quickly weakened. The fourth-level inferior-grade spiritual fire could actually burn the divine sense of a late-stage Yuanian cultivator. The Nanmingli fire's title of burning everything in the world was not nonsense. Chapter 881. The entire Nanming primordial fire looked simple and unadorned. It was just a simple crimson flame burning quietly. It was not like the crimson Luan Nirvana fire, which looked like a crimson Luan divine bird. The only extraordinary thing was that there was a faint vermilion bird-light figure dancing in the flame. Awakening the Nanming primordial fire was something that even half-divine beasts with the vermilion bird bloodline found difficult to do. For Wang Mingchen to be able to awaken the Nanming primordial fire, there was no need to talk about the concentration of the vermilion bird bloodline. Previously, his hair was all burned off by the heavenly tribulation. Now, the new hair stubble was all fiery red. If not for the human bloodline, it would not be difficult to cultivate into a real divine vermilion bird in the future. Demonic beasts had the bloodline of divine beasts. They could continuously increase the concentration of their bloodline through the divine beast's inherited cultivation methods and finally become divine beasts. The human bloodline was very special. Even if there was a higher concentration of divine beast bloodline, it was almost impossible to become a divine beast. Unless the human bloodline was so little that it could be ignored, it could truly become a divine beast. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly withdrew his divine sense. Quickly put it away. This thing's power is really too great. Also, don't easily reveal it in front of others in the future, lest someone covets it. Wang Mingchen nodded and said, I understand. Imperial Father, I want to give this spiritual fire to you as a pseudo-spiritual fire. Although the Nanming primordial fire is known for its power, it can also perform the Nirvana secret technique. This Crimson Luan Nirvana fire will be returned to Imperial Mother and integrated into the Mother fire. It can also increase Imperial Mother's strength. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand repeatedly. Absolutely not. After you form your nascent soul, you will discover that there is a special energy in this spiritual fire. This energy is related to the spiritual fire's potential. If the spiritual fire is separated from the fire, there will be a lot of energy loss and it will affect the spiritual fire's potential. Wang Mingchen said with a smile, Master also mentioned this special energy to me. It's just that this Nanming primordial fire is condensed from my vermilion bird bloodline and laws. It is different from the spiritual fire that Imperial Father obtained from the outside world. As long as my bloodline and laws are still there, the special energy lost can be replenished. The special energy lost by separating the pseudo-spiritual fire is very little. I can make up for it in a few years. With the Nanming primordial fire, you can also increase your strength. After thinking for a long time, Wang Daoyuan nodded. Since that's the case, we'll do as you say. After saying that, he cast a secret technique to separate the fire seed. The Vermilion Bird Hall in the Valley of Beasts also had a similar secret technique, and it was even more advanced than the secret technique of the 100 Spirits Monarch. Wang Daoyuan took out a sesame-sized fire seed from the Nanming Ignis. Wang Mingchen quickly used the rootless fire of the Nanming Ignis to envelop the fire seed. In the past, to condense the pseudo-spiritual fire, one would need to separate a fire seed the size of a mung bean. After the fire seed was separated, a lot of it would be lost. In the end, it would only be the size of a sesame seed. Now, with the new secret technique, the loss of the fire seed could be reduced to a negligible level. Wang Daoyuan took the pseudo-spirit fire and summoned the Yinglong phenomenon. Yinglong had absorbed quite a lot of heavenly tribulation flames previously. Those flames should also be the Nanming primordial fire. Now, he spat out all of these flames and merged them into the pseudo-spiritual fire. The Nanming primordial fire was formed by the power of the heavenly tribulation. It was very effective in cultivating the fire seed. Soon, the fire seed stabilized. Wang Daoyuan asked Yinglong to swallow the pseudo-spiritual fire. After all, Yinglong also had the vermilion bird phenomenon in his body, so it was very suitable for cultivating the Nanming primordial fire. After that, Wang Daoyuan glanced at Wang Minglong and Yun Yi. Did you two do anything bad in the past few years in the Baichuan Lake? The two guys shook their heads like rattles, indicating that they did not do anything bad. Dahe and Wang Xianlong held back their laughter, but they did not tell on them. How are the demonic beasts in the Baichuan Lake? Wang Minglong breathed a sigh of relief and quickly showed off his achievements. Master, don't worry. When those demonic beasts saw me in Xianlong, it was as if they saw living ancestors. They did not dare to resist at all. Some disobedient ones were also roasted by us. Now, there is no demonic beast in the Beiyuan lake that dares to disturb our people. Wang Daoyuan nodded. You did a good job. Don't ruin the Beiyuan lake's business in the future. After that, he took out some inky jade lotus seeds and demon soulgrass and gave them to them. The thunder ape naturally did not want these things. Wang Daoyuan gave him 2 jars of 100-fruit wine. Yunyi enlarged her body and flew to the Beiyuan lake with all the spirit beasts on her back. Even the thunder ape went to the Beiyuan lake. There was not even a single demonic beast in the fallen dragon ridge, which made him, a battle maniac, very bored. Wang Daoyuan returned to Qingli City with Wang Mingchen. The father and son did not stay in Qingli City for long. After handing over some things, they took a flying boat and flew to the Wanchuan River. Their destination was the Wanchuan Island. Wang Mingchen had awakened the Nanming primordial fire and also condensed the spiritual fire. Of course, he was going to succeed the position of the sect master of the Valley of Beasts and get the property of the Valley of Beasts. A day later, the flying boat arrived at the mountain gate of the Valley of Beasts. Wang Mingchen released the Nanming primordial fire. In less than 3 breaths, 8 figures flew out of the array. They looked at the Nanming primordial fire with excited expressions. The Vermilion Bird Hallmaster wanted to touch the Nanming primordial fire, but before he could get close, his hand emitted black smoke. He retracted his hand. Not only was he not afraid, he laughed wildly. It is indeed the Nanming primordial fire. The heavens have eyes. My Valley of Beasts finally has a sect master. The other 7 people also laughed. The Azure Dragon Hallmaster stroked his beard and said, even when the Valley of Beasts was at its peak, the disciple who awakened the Nanming primordial fire was also a candidate for the sect master. Now that the sect has withered, you are the only disciple qualified to inherit the position of sect master. There is only one successor and no current sect master. According to the sect rules, you can inherit the position of sect master now. Now, follow us to the ancestral hall and inherit the position of sect master in front of the ancestors. After saying that, an elder ran into the ancestral hall and closed the array. The cauldron in front of the memorial tablet also lit up with incense. The elders brought Wang Mingchen into the ancestral hall. The Azure Dragon Hallmaster and the Vermilion Bird Hallmaster knelt in front of the memorial tablet. The other Hallmasters knelt on both sides. Wang Mingchen knelt behind the Azure Dragon Hallmaster and the Vermilion Bird Hallmaster. The Azure Dragon Hallmaster had the highest status. He was the one who presided over the sect master succession ceremony. As Wang Mingchen's master, the Vermilion Bird Hallmaster's status was naturally higher. The Azure Dragon Hallmaster took out a piece of silk and read loudly, "The 120th Hallmaster of the Valley of Beasts, Long Yunting, reports to the sect masters. The 120th sect master of the Valley of Beasts, Lord Golden Rock, led the disciples of the sect to kill a level 7 evil dragon. The sect was also besieged by the demons and suffered heavy losses. Its incense was almost extinguished. The sect has been without a sect master for more than 50,000 years. Fortunately, Zhou Tianpeng, a disciple of Vermilion Bird Hall and Lord Golden Rock's direct disciple, escaped and continued the sect's incense. Today, Wang Mingchen, a disciple of the Vermilion Bird Hallmaster and the 99th descendant of Zhou Tianpeng, has awakened the minor Nanmingli fire. According to the sect rules, he will inherit the position of sect master today, and become the 121st sect master of the Valley of Beasts. I hope the sect masters will accept him." With that, he placed the silk into the cauldron and burned it. Wang Mingchen and the elders knelt 3 times and kowtowed 9 times in front of the memorial tablet. Then the Azure Dragon Hallmaster smiled and said, "I have already reported to the sect masters. Mingchen is already the sect master of the Valley of Beasts. Elders, please bring the sect master's keepsake." The 6 elders left the ancestral hall and returned shortly after. Each elder held a jade tray in their hands, which was covered with a bright yellow silk cloth. Just by looking at the silk in the tray, one could tell that they were not ordinary items. The Azure Dragon Hallmaster cupped his hands towards the memorial tablet and said, "The previous sect master, the Great Elder, and the Grand Elders all died in battle 50,000 years ago. Disciple Long Yunting passed the position of sect master to Wang Mingchen and violated the sect rules. I hope the sect masters will forgive me. With that, he uncovered the bright yellow silk on the first tray. On it was a 9-inch square purple gold seal. The seal was of the 5 elements divine beast. The 4 sides of the seal were engraved with the carvings of many divine beasts and ancient beasts. This is the 10,000 beast seal. It is the seal of the previous sect masters. The 121st sect master of the Valley of Beasts, Wang Mingchen, accepts the seal. The sect has declined to this extent. I hope you can restore the prestige of the Valley of Beasts. Wang Mingchen knelt down and accepted the 10,000 beast seal. I will take on the responsibility of the sect master and revitalize the Valley of Beasts. Chapter 882. The seal was a symbol of authority. The person who obtained the seal of 10,000 beasts would be the official sect leader. Wang Mingchen took the seal of 10,000 beasts. The leader of the Blue Dragon Division undid the bright yellow satin on the second tray. It was a 1-foot-thick jade booklet. It was made of white jade and strung together with golden threads. The leader of the Blue Dragon Division carefully held up the jade booklet. This is the name list of the disciples of the Valley of Beasts. Only the disciples on this list are the direct disciples of the Valley of Beasts. Wang Mingchen respectfully took the jade booklet and put it away. On the third tray was a folded piece of beast skin. It was not complete, but was made of many pieces of beast skin joined together. The beast skin was sewn together with beast tendons. This is the map of the various divisions, industries, and secret realms under the name of the Valley of Beasts. This map is relatively simple and only shows the approximate location. Then, he uncovered the satin on the fourth tray. There were more than 10 golden books on it. This is the detailed information of the various industries of the sect. It corresponds to the location on the map. On the fifth tray, there were 3 tokens. The leader of the Blue Dragon Division held the purple gold jade token with both hands. This is the identity token of the sect leader of the Valley of Beasts. It was personally made by the first ancestor, the supreme god of beasts. One side of the token was engraved with the patterns of the 5 elements. On the other side, the words, Sect Leader of the Valley of Beasts, were written in large ancient characters. Then, he took out a white jade token. This is the token for the core inheritance of the Valley of Beasts and the main treasury. There is only 1 token in the entire Valley of Beasts. Wang Mingchen took the 2 tokens and put them away. There was only 1 black token left. It was made of some unknown metal. This last token is the token to open the gate of the Valley of Beasts. Back then, the previous sect leader and the various grand elders relied on the gate to kill the 7th rank evil dragon. You can't stay on the island of beasts for too long. This last token will be given to you later. Wang Mingchen nodded. The foundation of the sect is still the most important. The last token will be temporarily kept by the leader of the Blue Dragon Division. This is to prevent the elders from being injured when the demonic beasts attack. The thing on the last tray was not small. The bright yellow satin was propped up nearly a foot high. However, this satin was quite extraordinary. Even if he used his divine sense to examine it, he still couldn't see what was inside. Even though Wang Daoyuan was Wang Mingchen's father, he wasn't from the Valley of Beasts. He couldn't be too rash. After the Azure Dragon Hallmaster handed the token to Wang Mingchen, he lifted the satin on the 6th tray. Below them was a pagoda that was about a foot tall. It was completely white in color. This pagoda had 8 sides and a total of 18 floors. At the intersection of the 2 floors of the tower, there was an exquisite cornice, and the tower was engraved with various carvings of mythical beasts. The Azure Dragon Hallmaster held up the pagoda. This pagoda is called the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda. Back then, it was a peak 7th rank magic tool. Now, it's only a low-grade 5th rank magic tool. However, if he could unleash its full power, those below the divine transformation realm would not be able to break through his defense. Since the 2nd-generation ancestor, the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda had been used as the sect master's token. Every floor of the pagoda is a secret realm. Back then, these secret realms were hundreds of miles in radius. Unfortunately, the level has dropped. I'm afraid the secret realms inside are less than 10 miles in radius. If it weren't for the good foundation of the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda, the secret realms inside would have collapsed. Upon hearing this, Wang Daoyuan asked in surprise. A magic tool with a small secret realm inside? Legend has it that only immortals can forge it. The Azure Dragon Hall Master smiled. The legend is true. The 10,000 Spirits Pagoda was forged by the first-generation ancestor and an Earth immortal who was famous for refining magic tools. The 10,000 Spirits Pagoda has always been used as a magic tool to suppress demonic beasts. Once a demonic beast causes trouble, the sect master will take the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda out to suppress the demonic beast. If a spirit beast in the sect makes a mistake, it will also be locked up in the pagoda to be punished. Every secret realm is full of danger. The higher the floor of the pagoda, the more dangerous it is inside. A demon at the peak of the Mahayana realm was once locked up in the top floor. In the end, he was tortured to death. Those punished spirit beasts also called the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda the 18 levels of hell. The 10,000 Spirits Pagoda can extract the spirit power and blood essence of the demonic beasts locked up in the pagoda to nourish oneself and fight against enemies. When the evil dragon attacked the 10,000 Beasts Island, the sect master extracted all the spirit power and blood essence of all the demonic beasts and spirit beasts in the pagoda. In that battle, the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda was also seriously damaged. After the sect master died, the spirit of the pagoda fell into a deep sleep. The 10,000 Spirits Pagoda was much stronger than the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda. But that space was equivalent to a large universe ring. It could hold living things and even living people could enter it. But after all, it was not a secret realm. The laws were not complete, so people and demonic beasts could not cultivate in it. Unfortunately, so many secret realms were used to punish demonic beasts and spirit beasts. But then again, these 18 small secret realms were not valuable to the Valley of Beasts. Even before the invasion of the demon tribe, the Valley of Beasts was a big force and controlled many big secret realms. These 18 small secret realms might not be comparable to a big secret realm. If the Soul Pearl space did not have the support of time, its value would not be much. Normal secret realms did not have this ability. Wang Mingchen took the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda and held it in his left hand. The sect master's keepsakes were all given to Wang Mingchen. The sect master succession ceremony was considered complete. The 8 elders bowed and said in unison, "Greetings, sect master." Wang Mingchen became Duke Qingli in his 40s and had been a monarch for over 100 years. Naturally, he could handle this kind of situation calmly. He raised his right hand. "Elders, please rise." Seeing his magnanimity, the 8 elders revealed gratified smiles on their faces. The Blue Dragon Division leader hurriedly said, "Sect Master, please recognize the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda as soon as possible. With the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda, a 5th-ranked demonic beast will not be able to hurt you. Only then can us old fellows be at ease. However, the spirit of the pagoda has always had a bad temper. Your cultivation is not high, so he might not take a liking to you. Daoyuan, please use Yinglong to intimidate him." Wang Daoyuan nodded. "It's fine. I can tolerate his bad temper. If he dares to attack his master, I'll let Yinglong swallow him." The 8 elders' faces turned cold, but they did not dare to say anything. The 10,000 Spirits Pagoda's method of recognizing its master was not strange. Wang Mingchen dripped a drop of blood essence on the pagoda and then began to condense his divine sense imprint. It took a full day for the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda to recognize him as its master. After successfully recognizing him as its master, the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda flickered with a faint jade-white light. At the same time, there were obvious fluctuations of spiritual power. It was no longer like before, without a single magic tool. The Blue Dragon Division leader glanced at the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda and said, "Looking at the pagoda, the spirit of the pagoda should still be asleep. This 10,000 Spirits Pagoda is a non-elemental magic tool. Daoan, I'll have to trouble you to awaken the spirit of the pagoda." Wang Daoyuan had experience in this task. He had helped awaken the spirit of the yin-yang compass before. Is there a special method to awaken the spirit of the pagoda? You just need to inject the spirit qi of the 5 elements into the pagoda. Wang Daoyuan nodded and took the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda. At the same time, he mobilized the spirit qi of the 5 elements and injected it into the pagoda. The 10,000 Spirits Pagoda was indeed made by an earth immortal. It was simply a bottomless pit. Wang Daoyuan had to release the Gui water death flame to burn the clouds outside to provide him with spiritual power. After more than 10 days, the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda suddenly erupted with an amazing momentum. The spirit of the pagoda was about to awaken. Wang Daoyuan directly opened the divine sense field and controlled the spirit qi within a radius of 600 miles. Once the spirit of the pagoda wanted to make trouble, it would be killed at any time. The momentum of the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda slowly weakened. A handsome young man in a jade-white robe with hair the color of mutton fat jade appeared. This guy looked gentle and elegant, but his nature was exposed as soon as he opened his mouth. Who dares to disturb my sleep? The spirit qi here is so thin. Why do you want me to wake up? After that, he glanced at Wang Mingchen and said, I feel that someone has recognized the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda as its master. It's a brat who has just entered the Gold Core realm. Even if he has the Nanming primordial fire, he shouldn't inherit the position of sect master at this time. Chapter 883. The head of the Blue Dragon Division explained, Patriarch Myriad Spirits, after you were injured. Before he could finish, the artifact spirit waved his hand and interrupted him. Did I say you could speak? You're so unruly. He was about to scold again, but Wang Daoyuan scolded him angrily. Either shut up and listen to us, or you have to die today. Isn't it just an artifact spirit? We can just raise a new one after killing it. The artifact spirit was one with the magic weapon. As long as the magic weapon was not destroyed, the artifact spirit would not die. If Yinglong dealt with this guy, he might really be able to take him down. After all, when Linglong saw Yinglong, she was scared out of her wits. As for whether it could work, Wang Daoyuan was not sure. As soon as this guy came out, he scolded this and that. Now he was being scolded and threatened by Wang Daoyuan. How could he bear it? He wanted to directly control the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda to attack Wang Daoyuan. Unfortunately, the pagoda was still in Wang Daoyuan's hand. He activated it with all his strength, and the entire 10,000 Spirits Pagoda trembled violently. After Wang Daoyuan improved his cultivation method, his spiritual power could be transformed into qi and blood, and his physical strength were not inferior to that of a demon of the same level. The 10,000 Spirits Pagoda struggled for a long time, but it still could not get out of Wang Daoyuan's control. According to the head of the Blue Dragon Division, the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda's strongest means were suppression and defense. The pagoda could not move, so it could not use any powerful means. The artifact spirit's face changed drastically. What a powerful boy! Then he left the pagoda and rushed toward Wang Daoyuan. The body of the pagoda was held in his hand, and it was only 2 feet away from his head. He should have no chance of surviving such a close attack. However, Wang Daoyuan had been prepared. Yinglong was already waiting outside his sea of consciousness. As soon as the artifact spirit left the pagoda, Yinglong flew out and entangled him. The device spirit struggled violently, trying to return to the All-Spirits Pagoda. Unfortunately, it could not move at all. Yinglong was just about to open his mouth and swallow it when the elders hurriedly pleaded, Please have mercy. This weapon spirit was nurtured by the first ancestor. It can be said that he is also the ancestor of the Valley of Beasts. Patriarch Myriad Spirits is just a little bad-tempered, but his character is still pretty good. Yinglong was once one of the strongest experts in the Qian Yuan realm. His means were something that even Earth immortals could not compare to. Whether or not he could deal with the artifact spirit, Elder Ji wasn't sure either. Wang Daoyuan snorted coldly, If you can speak properly, I'll spare your life. No matter how arrogant you are, I still want to see if Yinglong can kill the artifact spirit. Hearing this, the artifact spirit frowned. Yinglong? The legendary dragon of destiny? No wonder I felt like my life was in danger. It was because of this guy. This Yinglong is also very strange. He is not a weapon spirit, nor is he a magic spell. Who is this junior of yours? How can he control the winged dragon? Hearing what he said, Yinglong should really be able to kill the artifact spirit. There was also a bad-tempered artifact spirit in the space of the spiritual pearl. Wang Daoyuan wanted to make it recognize him as its master, but he had not succeeded. I didn't expect you to speak properly. Your current master is my biological son. I am the registered disciple of the current branch master of the Treasure Tripod branch of the Divine Weapon Pavilion. The artifact spirit had a strange look on his face. He asked the head of the Tsong Dragon Division, What's going on? Our Valley of Beasts is being bullied by the juniors of the Divine Weapon Pavilion? What's wrong with you guys? Have you become neither human nor ghost? The head of the Tsong Dragon Division cupped his hands and said, Patriarch Myriad Spirits, the former sect master used the sect's backup plan. After killing the evil dragon, he passed away with several grand elders. The demonic beasts brought by the evil dragon turned the Valley of Beasts into ruins. In order to resist the demonic beasts, we refined ourselves into living corpses and turned our souls into ghost cultivators. We hid them in artifacts made of soul crystals. After many years of fierce fighting, the demonic beasts were finally wiped out. Almost all the disciples in the sect were killed. Only the grand disciple of the former sect master, Zhao Tianpeng, escaped and established the Zhou state west of the sky-beheading mountain range. Among the disciples of the sect, there are no longer any living people other than the descendants of Zhou Tianpeng. Now, more than 50,000 years have passed. The inheritance of the Valley of Beasts has been severed for more than 50,000 years. The new sect master is called Wang Mingchen. He is the 99th generation descendant of Zhou Tianpeng. He has also awakened the minor Nanming primordial fire. If he doesn't become the sect master, who will? It is already a great fortune for the Valley of Beasts to have such a genius as the sect master. Hearing this, Patriarch Myriad Spirits was silent. After a long time, he sighed and said, The foundation of the Valley of Beasts has been reduced to such a state for more than 100,000 years. Under such circumstances, it is a great fortune to have a sect master who has awakened the minor Nanming primordial fire. Then what's going on with this Yinglong? That's one of the top experts in the primordial era. Why is it with him? The Azure Dragon Hallmaster continued, Dao Yuan originally had the 5 elements divine beast avatar. When he shattered his core and formed his nascent soul, his purple mansion avatar mutated and turned into Yinglong. Patriarch Myriad Spirits was shocked. The purple mansion avatar is related to the heavenly Dao. For it to turn into a dragon of destiny, this person's destiny has probably reached an extremely terrifying level. Could it be that he is the son of destiny? No, it has been more than 100,000 years since I was born. I have seen 2 generations of sons of destiny. There are more than 20 of them. Each of them is a giant among men. However, there has never been a son of destiny who has Yinglong's avatar. Junior, let go of Yinglong. I have some friendship with the Yin-Yang Compass artifact spirit and have learned some methods to look at destiny. Let me see how good your destiny is. Wang Daoyuan also wanted to let this fellow suffer a little and kill his spirit. He did not want to disobey Wang Mingchen in the future and cause more trouble. He controlled Yinglong and sent Patriarch Myriad Spirits flying with his tail. Patriarch Myriad Spirits flew out more than 5 kilometers before coming to a stop. His eyes turned purple gold as he began to observe Wang Daoyuan's destiny. Suddenly, a purple-gold lightning bolt struck down from the heavenly mountain and struck him. Patriarch Myriad Spirits was indeed a wily old fox who had lived for more than 200,000 years. He had long been prepared. He instantly turned into a stream of light and dodged the heavenly lightning. He hurriedly stopped his Dharma spell and said in shock, What a powerful destiny! It's only the late stage of Yuanying, but the auspicious clouds have already turned into a dragon of destiny. Only the destinies of mighty figures and earth immortals will have a dragon of destiny. When I pry into your destiny, I will be warned by the heavenly Tao. Your destiny is already not inferior to sword immortal Guiyuan. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, It seems that you are stronger than the Yin-Yang Compass artifact spirit. He did not see my destiny back then and only said that I have the bloodline of a mighty figure. The fellow had a proud expression. Although he is an old friend of Yin-Yang, his ability is far inferior to mine. He can't even see your bloodline. He is really weak. You are a descendant of Supremacy Purple Thunder. Supremacy Purple Thunder became a mighty figure 200,000 years ago. My first master, Supremacy Myriad Beasts, was good friends with Supremacy Purple Thunder. Among your relatives, do you have any lesser divine powers with a purple lightning attribute spirit fire? Supremacy Purple Thunder's divine power is the Purple Thunder Divine Flame. He relied on this spirit fire to make a name for himself. During the demonic chaos more than 70,000 years ago, he also played a significant role. With this, Wang Daoyuan finally knew where his master and brother's lesser divine powers came from. What he said should be correct. My brother and master have both awakened the lesser divine power of the Purple Thunder Divine Flame. Then there is no doubt that you are a descendant of supremacy Purple Thunder. This fellow had a few wives and concubines in his early years and many descendants. Unfortunately, not many of them are of any use. As for which lineage you are a descendant of, I cannot be sure. Long Yunting, why don't you let this junior inherit the position of sect master? The Azure Dragon Hall master cupped his hands and said, Ancestral master, our Valley of Beasts has not done him any favors. If we rashly pull him into the Valley of Beasts, we will be intercepting our destiny and might suffer a backlash from it. Legend has it that being close to a son of destiny can increase one's own destiny. If Wang Mingchen becomes sect master, he will be able to benefit from accompanying Dao Yuan in his conquest of the world. If he can win the War of Destiny, our Valley of Beasts can be revitalized. We might even be stronger than before. Patriarch Myriad Spirits nodded. You are very thoughtful. This is indeed the safest way. For the future of the sect, I will accept the position of sect master. With that, he bowed to Wang Mingchen. Myriad Spirits greets the sect master. I am willing to listen to your orders from now on. Chapter 884. Patriarch Myriad Spirits was finally convinced and willing to listen to Wang Mingchen's orders. Wang Daoyuan also heaved a sigh of relief. With the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda's protection, he would not have to worry about any danger. Wang Mingchen hurriedly went over to help Patriarch Myriad Spirits up. Patriarch, you don't have to bow. Since I've accepted the position of sect master of the Valley of Beasts, I'll naturally do my best to revitalize the Valley of Beasts. Since he was playing the good cop, Wang Daoyuan naturally played the bad cop. Mingchen is still the emperor of the Yen Kingdom. There aren't many people here, so he can't stay here forever. After returning to the Yen Kingdom, if you dare to disobey my orders and hurt my Wang family members, I'll kill you. Even if you hide in the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda and don't come out, I still have a way to destroy you. After learning of Wang Daoyuan's identity, Patriarch Myriad Spirits did not dare to be unyielding. Don't worry. Although I have a bad temper, I'm not stupid. With the Valley of Beasts in such a state, how would I dare to go against the Son of Providence? Only other Sons of Providence can be enemies with the Son of Providence. I'm still hoping to borrow your Providence to revitalize the Valley of Beasts. Besides, by following the Son of Providence, the artifact spirit will also have a chance to improve. For both public and private reasons, I have to protect Mingchen well. With this, Wang Daoyuan was relieved. This was an old monster who had lived for more than 200,000 years. With his guidance, Wang Mingchen would not have any problems in cultivation. Moreover, he was once a peak 7th level magic weapon. If not for Yinglong's ability to deal with the artifact spirit, he would not have the confidence to defeat him. At most, they would be evenly matched. With his protection, Wang Mingchen would not be in any danger. That's good. Most of the Wang family's inheritance comes from the Valley of Beasts. If you can have the last laugh in the Battle of Providence, you will not be mistreated. However, what do you mean by improving the artifact spirit? Wang Daoyuan's question made Patriarch Myriad Spirits regain his confidence. Having an old man in the family is like having a treasure. Now you know the use of this old man, right? As the saying goes, all things have spirits. Artifact spirits are not immutable. There was also a chance for him to grow a physical body and become an astral. Plants and other living things without intelligence, as well as metals and stones that didn't even have life, could also take a step forward and develop intelligence. Once their intelligence was strong enough, they would be able to transform into astrals. In fact, many of the strange beasts born in the primordial era were from the spirit race. For example, Yinglong could be seen as the spirit of ancestral Dragon Mountain. There was no clear boundary between the spirit race and the Yao race. Some of the spirit race could also reproduce. As a member of the spirit race, didn't Yinglong also give birth to many divine beasts? The mixed blood descendants of these divine beasts were also known as the demon race. If artifact spirits like us can gain physical bodies and become spirit race members, we can also give birth to descendants and create our own race. Beiyuan Xiuxian has fewer strange races. When you reach the south of heaven-ending abyss in the future, you'll be able to see all kinds of strange races. The ancestors of these races were all from the spirit race, which made them no different from the Yao race. There were also some spirit race members who couldn't reproduce and thus couldn't establish their own races. However, they could also become immortals through cultivation and ascend to the upper realm. It's just that after the primordial era ended, spirit chi underwent a huge change. It's still possible for things like metal, stone, grass, and wood to develop intelligence, but the possibility of becoming a true spirit race member is very small. Beiyuan has been going downhill since the formation of heaven-ending abyss more than 70,000 years ago. Now that spirit chi is only at level 5, the possibility of metal, stone, grass, and wood-producing spirit plants is very small, not to mention other things. After chatting with the elders for a while, Wang Daoyuan left Myriad Beast Island with Wang Mingchen and returned to the Yan Kingdom. Although the access token to the Valley of Beasts treasury was in Wang Mingchen's hands, it wasn't too appropriate to rob someone's treasury right after getting it. In the future, he still had to count on the Valley of Beasts to help in the War of Providence. He naturally had to take away the seal and other items of the Valley of Beasts sect master. Along the way, Ancestor Myriad's spirit didn't stop either. Everywhere he went, he talked about the history of this place. It seemed that this guy wasn't just bad-tempered, he was also a chatterbox. Soon, the flying boat arrived near Qingli City. Ancestor Myriad's spirit nodded. The location of the capital isn't bad. This used to be the territory of the Green Willow Branch. Back then there was a market here. By the way, is Twin Dragon Mount, the source of this river, your territory? Twin Dragon Mount? The source of this Qingli River is Jade Spring Peak, the earliest territory of my Wang family. Even now, it's the core of the family. Ancestor Myriad's spirit continued. I learned some Qi observation methods from Yin Yang. This Jade Spring Peak is the intersection of the Heavenly/Mountain Range and Huiyan Mountain. That's how Twin Dragon Mount got its name. It's right to call it Jade Spring Peak. There is indeed a spring on the mountain. Back then, this spring water was a peak level 7 spirit spring. A jade dragon once resided here, so it was named Jade Dragon Spring. The Jade Dragon Spring is full of dragon chi, and dragon species often appear. By the way, does your Wang family have dragon species? Wang Mingchen replied. Now the Wang family has 2 level 4 dragonfish. One is called Wang Minglong, and the other is Wang Xianlong. It's good to have dragon species. This Jade Dragon Spring is a place to raise dragons. If a dragon is planted in such a place, it might have a chance to transform into a true dragon in the future. When the flying boat landed in the palace, Wang Daoyuan said, Senior Myriad Spirit, this city is filled with people from the Yan Kingdom. Don't lose your temper. Their cultivation levels are low, so they can't withstand your temper. Patriarch Myriad Spirit smiled and said, Don't worry. Since I've acknowledged him as my master, I'll naturally think for him. I won't make things difficult for Mingchen. Wang Daoyuan left Qingli City and returned to Jade Spring Peak. After returning to his cave abode, Yuanying immediately entered the space of the Spirit Pearl. If Yinglong could threaten Patriarch Myriad Spirit, he could naturally threaten the other artifact spirits as well. He had obtained a refining cauldron in the Ziwei Hall of the 7-star Mystic Realm. Back then, this refining cauldron was very close to peak level 6. However, there was a large amount of flames in the cauldron. Back then, Wang Daoyuan was attacked by the flames as soon as he approached it. In the end, he exposed the Spirit Pearl and took away the cauldron. After the cauldron entered the Spirit Pearl, it was still not well behaved. Wang Daoyuan placed it at the edge of the Spirit Pearl space to isolate it from Spirit Qi. Later on, the cauldron fell into a deep slumber due to the lack of Spirit Qi. Wang Daoyuan also took out the sword embryo of the Essence Returning Sword. However, the artifact spirit still instinctively refused to acknowledge him as its master. Now that it knew that Yinglong could deal with artifact spirits, it was no longer up to it to acknowledge him as its master. Yuanying came to the edge of the Spirit Pearl space where the artifact refining cauldron was stored. Previously, he had set up an array formation to isolate Spirit Qi here. In order to reduce the loss of Spirit Qi, the cauldron's brilliance was restrained. It did not look like a Dharma artifact at all. In addition, there were no decorations on the cauldron. It was pitch black and looked even worse than the cooking utensils used by rich mortal families. The cauldron was a 3-legged, 2-eared round cauldron. It was more than 6 feet tall and had a diameter of more than 2 feet. Ordinary artifact refining cauldrons could be big or small. As the space was not sealed, it could not be considered a spatial Dharma artifact. As Wang Daoyuan's Yuanying approached, The cauldron spewed out some flames again. These flames were similar to ordinary earth fire. They were red and yellow in color. However, these flames were already very weak and could not be compared to before. Yuanying waved his hand and a black flame appeared out of thin air, enveloping the red and yellow flames. Soon, the red and yellow flames could not hold on any longer and extinguished on their own. At this moment, the spirit chi fluctuations from the cauldron were only at the level of a low-grade 6th level. After being isolated from spirit chi in the spirit pearl space for thousands of years, it was greatly affected. From the looks of it, the artifact spirit in the cauldron should have some consciousness. Wang Daoyuan began to persuade. I say, fellow in the cauldron, you've been stubborn with me for thousands of years. Do you still want to continue wasting time? I'll cut off all sources of spirit chi for the cauldron. After 10 or 20,000 years, the cauldron will drop to 4th level and you, the artifact spirit, will fall into a deep sleep. At that time, I'll recognize you as my master. Can you still resist? A moment later, an old voice came from the cauldron. 10 or 20,000 years. You're just a late-stage Yuanying cultivator. How can you live for so long? No, you're just a Yuanying cultivator. How can you live until now? Chapter 885. Wang Daoyuan was overjoyed. The artifact spirit had finally spoken. If he wanted to subdue an artifact spirit, he wasn't afraid of a bad temper. He was only afraid that the artifact spirit would be taciturn and refuse to speak. If the artifact spirit didn't speak, he wouldn't have time to waste with it. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, You don't have to worry about how I've lived until now. I won't die even after 100,000 years. I'd like to see how long you can last. Do you want to acknowledge me as your master now, or wait until you're at the 4th level? The artifact spirit was silent for a long time before saying, Kid, don't go too far. Although I lack spiritual power, I can still exert strength comparable to an early soul formation cultivator. It won't take much effort to kill a late Yuanying cultivator like you. Wang Daoyuan's Yuanying showed a disdainful expression. Back then in the Ziwei Palace, you were close to the peak of the 6th level, and I was just at the beginning of the Yuanying. If I could deal with you back then, it won't be a problem now. If you have a soul formation cultivator controlling you, you can indeed kill me. But without a soul formation cultivator controlling you, you'd better save it. Do you really think I don't know anything? An artifact spirit without an owner can't exert all its strength. I can subdue you without using spiritual pearls. The artifact spirit seemed to be hurt by Wang Daoyuan's words and showed itself. An old man with white hair and a black robe appeared on the cauldron. I was also a 7th level artifact back then. Even if I'm not your match, you can't do anything to me. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan was amused. I thought you were just a 6th level artifact. I didn't expect you to be a 7th level artifact. Then I've really hit the jackpot. The higher the level, the more excited I am. These words sounded a little strange. He took out the Guiyuan sword. You're hard enough, but this Guiyuan sword isn't bad either. Let's see how long you can last without spiritual power replenishment. Guiyuan's sword immortal could even split open the ancestral dragon mountain. As his successor, can't I split open a broken cauldron? Then, he took out the Guiyuan sword and was about to attack the cauldron. The artifact spirit quickly said, My master is the supreme divinity Xian Xian. He's an old friend of Guiyuan's sword immortal for many years. In the War of Providence back then, the Xinlian school also supported sword immortal Guiyuan. You are his successor, so we can be considered as family. Why do you have to fight and kill? Wang Daoyuan snorted coldly. Since we are family, why did you try to kill me in Ziwei Palace? You caused me to have no choice but to reveal my trump card, Spirit Pearl. You want me to let you off just because your master once supported sword immortal Guiyuan? Either it recognizes me as its master, or we can slowly waste time. It doesn't matter to me. It's just a crafting cauldron. Without you, it won't affect my cultivation. Now that you're not willing to acknowledge me as your master, when I make my move, you can just wait to be smashed into smithing materials. You're just a big iron pot. You really think you're something. This time, the artifact spirit was infuriated. No matter what, it was still the artifact of a supreme being. How could it tolerate being called a big iron pot? The artifact spirit left the cauldron and flew towards Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan had talked to it for so long just to provoke it to come out. As soon as the artifact spirit flew out, Yinglong flew out from between Yuan Ying's eyebrows and wrapped around the artifact spirit a few times. Since you're not willing to acknowledge me as your master, there's no point in keeping you. Anyway, I can still use the crafting cauldron after killing you. The artifact spirit looked horrified. What's the origin of this yellow dragon of yours? It seems that you're much less knowledgeable than the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda. You don't even know the Dragon of Destiny. I guess you don't have much ability, so I won't keep you. The 10,000 Spirits Pagoda? The legendary artifact of the Valley of Beasts? I've heard my master mention it before. The Dragon of Destiny, the ancestor of all dragons? The appearance of this yellow dragon is exactly the same as the legendary Dragon of Destiny. This guy knew some things, but he didn't think he knew as much as the ancestor of myriad spirits. What's your name? My body is the Xian Xian Cauldron. It's a divine artifact of the Xian Xian of the Xinlian school. You can call me Xian Xian. But later, my master's crafting level rose to the 8th rank, and I was only at the middle of the 7th rank. My master was only at the late stage of the Mahayana realm at that time, and it was impossible for him to raise me to the 8th rank in a short time. The gap between the 7th rank and the 8th rank artifact was still very big. It was very unlikely to refine an 8th rank artifact with a 7th rank crafting cauldron. He could only use the divine refining cauldron handed down from the Xinlian school to refine and put me in the crafting room to slowly raise me. My master went to the ancestral Dragon Mountain to resist the devil race and didn't take me with him. More than 10 years later, my master died, and I became an ownerless artifact. I stayed in the crafting room of the Ziwei Hall for tens of thousands of years, and finally fell into your hands. What was the result of the war between the human race and the devil race? Do you still need to ask? I'm a human. If I can jump around like this, the human race will naturally be fine, and the devil race will also be suppressed. That year, Guiyuan's sword immortal exhausted all his strength and slashed out a shocking sword. Several Earth Immortal Realm devils were killed, Mount Zulong was cut in half, and the Ju-Tian Abyss was created. North of the Ju-Tian Abyss, the spirit chi decreased greatly. Isn't the spirit chi in the 7-star secret realm also decreasing year by year? Speaking of which, are you willing to acknowledge me as your master, or are you waiting for Yinglong to swallow you? If it wasn't for the fact that you can help me refine artifacts, I wouldn't even bother to keep you. The Xian Xian Cauldron's artifact spirit also felt a fatal threat and didn't dare to be stubborn anymore. My old life is in your hands. Do I dare to resist? My master is no longer here anyway. Acknowledging someone else as my master isn't considered betrayal. Wang Daoyuan breathed a sigh of relief. Although the Xian Xian Cauldron was only tens of thousands of years old, it only had one master, the divine Xian Xian. Its value was far less than the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda, or even the purple gold exquisite pagoda. But no matter how bad it was still a powerful artifact. The divine Xian Xian had used it to refine artifacts, so at least he knew a lot about artifact refining. In that case, I'll let you acknowledge me as your master now. After you acknowledge me as your master, I'll let Yinglong release you. If you try to play any tricks, then just wait for your death. After saying that, he dripped a drop of blood essence on the cauldron and used his divine sense to explore the cauldron. When refining artifacts, there would be a special place to condense the divine sense imprint. After the divine sense imprint was formed, it would connect with the artifact inscriptions, making it easier to control the artifact. Although this Xian Xian cauldron used to be of a very high grade, this hadn't changed. After Wang Daoyuan recognized the Xian Xian cauldron as its master, he could explore its functions through the divine sense imprint. This Xian Xian cauldron was made of metal materials of the 5 elements, so its attributes were naturally of the 5 elements. Most high-level artifact cauldrons had no attributes or were of the 5 elements. After all, there were many kinds of artifacts to be refined. An artifact cauldron of a single attribute might have negative effects when refining artifacts of other attributes. The Xian Xian cauldron's main function was to refine artifacts. Its functions of controlling fire and nurturing artifacts were very complete. It was much more powerful than the artifact cauldron that Wang Daoyuan had casually refined. In addition to its function of refining artifacts, it also had some offensive and defensive abilities. Of course, it was mainly for defense. With the foundation of a 7th grade artifact, soul formation cultivators wouldn't be able to break its defense in a short time. Its offensive abilities were very weak. It was just that the cauldron was heavy and could smash people with it. However, this still made Wang Daoyuan very satisfied. At least the next time he went to the Qixing Si Xiuxian community, he wouldn't be completely defenseless against a soul formation cultivator. After the artifact recognized its master, even if the artifact spirit was up to no good, it wouldn't be able to exert much power against the master. On the contrary, the master would have a strong suppressive effect on the artifact spirit. Wang Daoyuan controlled Yinglong and let go of the artifact spirit. Do you know all the artifact refining techniques of the Shenlian school, including the puppet technique? The artifact spirit patted its chest and said, as the artifact spirit of the Xianxian cauldron, as long as it has been refined in my body, I know the refining method. Besides, I've been with the old master for many years. I basically know all his artifact refining techniques. It's just that I'm not suitable for fights of magical powers. Master rarely takes me with him when he goes out. I know very little about the outside world. I can only remember some of the things that Master mentioned when he was talking to others. It had the experience of an 8th grade artifact refiner. Although it was only the experience of the Xianxian Supreme God before he became an 8th grade artifact refiner. But for Wang Daoyuan, a 5th grade artifact refiner, it was rare and valuable. Chapter 886. There were many techniques in the 100 arts of immortal cultivation that were difficult to write down in the inheritance. Without a master to teach, it would always be lacking if one had to rely on one's own comprehension. Take the Thousand Hands Divine Venerable special technique for example. If it wasn't for the illusion created by the Thousand Puzzles Pagoda, it wouldn't have been possible. If it was only given a secret manual, it would be very difficult for others to learn. Although the Xianxian cauldron was only a magic tool, it had personally participated in the crafting of the Xianxian Divine Venerable. It would benefit him greatly if he just gave him a few pointers. Wang Daoyuan said, the crafting inheritance I snatched from the crafting room is not complete. If I were to craft a magic tool according to what was recorded in the inheritance, it would be somewhat lacking. My crafting and formation skills have both reached the mid-grade of the 5th level. I want to craft a mid-grade of the 5th level sword puppet. You've seen the Xianxian Divine Venerable's crafting, so you should know how to do it, right? The weapon spirit looked proud. These are all trivial matters. I've accompanied the old master for more than 10,000 years. The old master used the Xianxian cauldron to craft at least 10,000 magic tools. He crafted at least a few hundred puppets. I know all of his refining techniques very well. Since he boasted, Wang Daoyuan naturally couldn't refuse him. He took out the Xianxian cauldron from the space in the spiritual pearl and began crafting the puppet. Wang Daoyuan didn't get much guidance on the 4 paths of alchemy, crafting, and talisman formation. Most of the time, he still had to fumble around on his own. There were still many mistakes. Now, with the guidance of the Xianxian cauldron, he made up for many of his shortcomings. He also put a lot of effort into crafting this sword cultivator puppet. It took him a whole month to finish crafting all the parts. Not only was this puppet's grade higher than Xianbing and Xianding, but it was also improved from inside out. In order to increase the puppet's ability to compete with energy, Wang Daoyuan left 6 places for it to store spirit-gathering pearls. When the time came, it would be able to hold on for 2 to 4 hours if it was equipped with all 6 5th-grade spirit-gathering pearls. If it really went all out, an ordinary mid-grade Yuanian cultivator could only hold on for about 2 hours. In order to make more space for the spirit-gathering pearls, the size of the puppet had to be bigger. This puppet was more than 10 feet tall, and it was a size larger than the previous puppet. After that, it was time to cultivate the soul of the puppet. This had nothing to do with refining weapons, and the Xianxian cauldron had never participated in this, so naturally, it could not intervene. With the help of the spiritual orb, it took the puppet's soul half a year to comprehend the sword essence of Guiyuan. Wang Daoyuan carved the words Xian Wu on the sword puppet, then took out the soul fragment from Cui Ming's body and injected it into Xian Wu's puppet soul. He controlled Xian Wu to the vicinity of Mount Serene and fought with the Grey Rock clone for more than a month. His combat level had also been trained. The puppet technique of the Shenlian school, the guidance of the Xianxian cauldron, and the Guiyuan sword essence. Xian Wu's strength had already surpassed Xian Jia's. After all, Xianjia was only refined by the cultivators of the Zhenhai sect, a branch of the Imperial Regency. The Imperial Regency was a force whose strongest cultivator was only at the peak of the soul formation stage. Naturally, its inheritance could not be compared to that of the Shenlian school. After leaving Xianwu at Yuchuan Peak, Wang Daoyuan left Yuchuan Peak and came to Qingli City. At this time, Wang Mingchen was cultivating under the guidance of ancestor myriad spirits. Seeing him come, Wang Mingchen also stopped and bowed. "Greetings, father." Wang Daoyuan took out Xianwu from the spiritual orb. "No need to be so polite. I'm going to the headquarters of the Blood Shadow in the southern wilderness. You and Dao Jian pick some talented disciples from the family to follow me to the headquarters of the Blood Shadow. Your mother has become the Shadow Master of the Blood Shadow. This position can't always be a decoration. We have to arrange some people there. In the future, the family will support them to form their gold cores and enter the upper echelons of the Blood Shadow. Our Wang family also has to have a say in the Blood Shadow. We can't always rely on the Su family and the middle and lower class." Wang Mingchen nodded. "Yes, father. I'll let 3rd uncle and 27th uncle do this." Then, he took out a jade talisman to send a message. Hearing this, ancestor myriad spirits asked, "Blood Shadow? The force established by the 2 disciples of the Blood Shadow Patriarch? 50,000 years ago, the Blood Shadow was the strongest underground force in Beiyuan. These people like to be cowards and don't dare to provoke the big forces. After so many years, they shouldn't be weak. How did you manage to make Ming Chen's mother a shadow master with such little resources in the Yan Kingdom?" Wang Daoyuan briefly explained the process of trapping the Blood Shadow. Ancestor Myriad Spirit said with a smile, "It seems that you were prepared. Although the inheritance of the Blood Shadow is not very good, its intelligence is still very good. If you participate in the War of Providence in the future, it will be very beneficial to subdue the Blood Shadow. I previously refined a mid-grade Tier 5 sword puppet, Xian Wu. Its strength is stronger than the Xian Jia guarding Wanchuan Market. With Xian Wu guarding Yuchuan Peak, even if the demon beasts do something, it's not a big deal." Ancestor Myriad Spirits asked again. "A mid-grade Tier 5 sword puppet? Beiyuan lacks soul crystal veins, and there are not many suitable environments for the growth of the yellow spring willow. Therefore, puppetry has always been mediocre. Where did you get the Tier 5 puppetry inheritance?" Wang Daoyuan asked, "Have you heard of the Qixing Si Xiuxian community?" "That makes sense. The Shenlian school there is good at puppetry. Back then, the Valley of Beasts Divine Greenwood had some friendship with the Shenlian school's Divine Xian Xian. He even took me to the Qixing Si Xiuxian community. The Sea of 7 Stars and Beiyuan are separated by a vast ocean. It's impossible to cross it without reaching the Mahayana realm. How did you get there?" "You're asking too much." Hearing Wang Daoyuan's unfriendly tone, Ancestor Myriad Spirits did not dare to ask again. Wang Daoyuan found a place to stay in the palace. 3 days later, Wang Daochong and Wang Daojian brought 10 young family disciples to the palace in Qingli City. Of the 10 family disciples, 9 were at the late-stage Foundation Establishment realm, and only 1 was at the early-stage Zifu realm. This person was Wang Digong, the grandson of Wang Daoxing. He had been cultivating with Wang Daoyuan before. Later, Wang Daoyuan gave him the shadow sword art. At that time, he was at the peak of the Foundation Establishment realm. Now that he was at the early-stage Zifu realm, it was reasonable. Wang Daojian cupped his hands and said, "Seventh brother, these 10 family disciples are quite talented. 9 of them are cultivators with 3 spiritual roots, and their main spiritual roots are more than 7 inches. Wang Digong is a 2 spiritual root cultivator with a main spiritual root that is more than 8 inches. He has the potential to form his core. Now, they are all stewards of the Shanbei branch. Each of them has 800,000 contribution points. Letting them enter the Blood Shadow headquarters in the name of sending talents to the branch was also to save some face for the Blood Shadow. If they directly joined as Wang family disciples, it would be a slap to the Blood Shadow's face." After learning about the War of Providence, Wang Daoyuan also felt a sense of urgency. He had to increase his strength as soon as possible to avoid internal friction. The Blood Shadow was his strongest force, and he had to make the Blood Shadow sincerely submit. Wang Daoyuan nodded. "Not bad. I'll bring you to the Blood Shadow headquarters this time. In the future, You will receive better grooming there. What you have to do is to learn the Blood Shadow's teaching system and nurture more talents for the family. At the same time, you have to do your best to increase your cultivation and become an elder of the Blood Shadow. As long as you cultivate well, I guarantee that you will all be able to form your core. If there's anything else you need to deal with, do it as soon as possible. I'll give you time. In the future, you won't be able to come back easily after you go to the Blood Shadow headquarters. The 10 of them had no problems. Wang Daoyuan took out a high-grade grade 5 flying boat and carried the 10 juniors to the south. On the flying boat, Wang Daoyuan asked Wang Digong, "What's your purple mansion anomaly?" Although Wang Digong put on a humble appearance, his face still revealed a proud expression. "Seventh uncle, my purple mansion anomaly is a sword. However, this sword is a little strange, so I named it the Shadow Sword." After saying that, a purple light flickered between his eyebrows. Then, a small black sword that was less than 3 inches long appeared. This sword seemed to be there and then not. One moment it was solid and the next moment it was illusory. He probed with his divine perception, but he couldn't lock onto it. If a late-stage Yuanian cultivator's divine perception couldn't see it clearly, others might not even be able to detect it with their divine perception. Chapter 887. Wang Daoyuan nodded. This phenomenon isn't bad, and it's very compatible with the Shadow Sword art. The sword's potential isn't small, and it's very suitable for assassination. Oh right, do you have a natal magic artifact? Wang Digong replied, "I already have one. Grandpa 8th Aunt used the lunar shadow crystal to forge it for me." The lunar shadow crystal also had a concealment characteristic, and it was very compatible with his phenomenon. His 8th Aunt's grandfather was Zhao Liang, and he was now a mid-grade Tier 4 weapon forger. Forging a natal magic artifact for an early-stage Violet Palace realm cultivator was a piece of cake. How's your understanding of the sword intent? It's all thanks to the sword diagram you left in the Clear Glass City's Imperial Palace. I've already grasped the basics of the Shadow Kill sword intent. The sword diagram in the Clear Glass City's Imperial Palace was the origin returning sword diagram obtained from the White Tiger Hall in the Valley of Beasts. The origin returning sword intent wasn't something that anyone could cultivate, but the origin returning sword immortal sword intent was all-encompassing. The origin returning sword intent was a relatively unorthodox sword intent, and the Shadow Kill sword intent was also present in the sword diagram. Wang Daoyuan nodded. Not bad. To be able to comprehend sword intent and have a suitable natal magic artifact, your strength can be considered relatively strong among early-stage Violet Palace realm cultivators. Furthermore, the Shadow Sword art is extraordinary. Even compared to the geniuses of the Bloodwolf clan, you can be ranked among the top. 3 days later, the flying boat arrived at the Blood Shadow headquarters. He had already sent a message to Zhou Wan through the Blood Shadow's intelligence channel. At this moment, the Blood Shadow's second elder, Zhang Yu, was already waiting in the small valley. When he saw Wang Daoyuan land on the ground, he walked up and cupped his hands. "Greetings, retired emperor. The Shadow Lord is waiting for you at the Blood Shadow City." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. "No need for formalities. Let's go to the headquarters as soon as possible." Zhang Yu nodded and led the way. Soon, they arrived at the Blood Shadow City. Zhou Wan led Wang Daoyuan and the others to a rather luxurious courtyard. The plaque in front of the door had the words, "Wang Residence," written on it. This should be the residence that Zhou Wan prepared for the Wang family's descendants. The entire compound was divided into 3 sections, and the rooms were relatively spacious. It was not a problem for dozens of people to live in them. After entering the courtyard, there was an old servant inside. Zhou Wan smiled and said, "This courtyard is yours. You can live wherever you want. This is your butler. If there's anything, just leave it to him." After saying that, he walked out of the courtyard with Wang Daoyuan. These 10 juniors are quite talented, especially that Zifu disciple. He's only at the early stage of the Zifu realm, but there's already a faintly discernible sword intent on his body. His ability to conceal himself is extremely strong. When did our Wang clan produce such a talent? He's second brother's eldest grandson, Wang Digong. For a cultivator with 2 spiritual roots, his main spiritual root was the 8-inch and 3-part gold spiritual root. His Zifu anomaly was a faintly discernible sword. His personality made him suitable to be an assassin. The others all have 3 spiritual roots, and their main spiritual roots are more than 7 inches. Xueqi nodded. In that case, these people can all try to enter the Blood Wolf clan. As for whether or not they can succeed, that will depend on their abilities. As for this Wang Digong, with his strength, it won't be difficult for him to enter the Blood Wolf clan. In addition, it won't be a problem for him to become a first-rate expert of the Blood Wolf clan. The 2 of them arrived at the assembly hall at the center of the city. Grand Elder Zhang Dingming, Second Elder Zhang Yu, and the Su clan's representative, Su Qinghe, were all present. The cultivators of the Blood Shadow clan were divided into 3 major factions: the Zhang clan, the Su clan, and the cultivators who were not direct descendants. The 3 of them represented all 3 major factions. Xueqi said, Dao Yuan brought some stewards from the northern mountain branch. They are also members of the Wang clan. According to the rules of the Blood Shadow clan, each branch has the responsibility of recommending talents to the headquarters. Of these 10 people, 9 of them are cultivators with 3 spiritual roots, and 1 of them is a cultivator with 2 spiritual roots, a Zifu disciple whose main spiritual root is more than 8 inches. With such talent, it shouldn't be a problem for them to enter the Blood Shadow clan, right? As for the elders of the Zhang and Su clans, most of them are the descendants of those people who were recommended by their respective branches. In addition, Second Elder Zhang Yu has always been on Xueqi's side, so he naturally has no problems. The Su clan was still very obedient, and Su Qinghe also had no objections. If there was one person who disliked Xueqi the most, it would be Zhang Dingming. The Zhang clan has always been slightly stronger than the Su clan, so Zhang Dingming forming his nascent soul wasn't a big problem. Su Boyu was old and weak, so the success rate of him forming his nascent soul wasn't high. The position of Shadow Lord would definitely be Zhang Dingming. Now, Xueqi suddenly appeared out of nowhere and became the Shadow Lord. The Su clan and a group of non-direct descendants all supported her, and the Zhang clan became the weaker party. How could he be happy about this? Zhang Dingming said, cultivators with 2 spiritual roots whose main spiritual roots are more than 8 inches don't need to be tested and can directly join the Blood Wolf clan. However, Zifu disciples are a bit troublesome. The members of the Blood Wolf clan are all at the foundation establishment stage or even earlier. After many years of nurturing, they have broken through to the Zifu realm. After opening the Zifu realm, they are candidates for the position of Blood Shadow Elder. If this Wang clan disciple directly becomes an elder candidate, I'm afraid it will be difficult to convince the others. In my opinion, let him compete with the other members of the Blood Wolf clan. If he can win, give him the position of an elder candidate. However, he first has to cultivate in the Blood Wolf clan for a few years to learn the various inheritances of the Blood Wolf clan. As for the other 9 people, they have to pass the test first to obtain the qualification to enter the Blood Wolf clan. Wang Daoyuan and Xueqi didn't have any objections. They were quite confident in Wang Digong's ability. Under their eyes, Zhang Dingming also didn't dare to play dirty. If that was the case, it would give Xueqi a chance to mess with the Su clan. As for the other 9 people, they didn't have to enter the Blood Wolf clan. Generally, cultivators who couldn't enter the Blood Wolf clan could still become the disciples of the elders. With Xueqi's status and the Wang clan's strength, there were many elders who were willing to accept these Wang clan disciples as disciples. Becoming an elder's disciple could also be trained well. Xueqi replied, "Do as the great elder said. Second elder, you arrange these things." Zhang Yu cupped his hands and said, "Yes." Then, he left the meeting hall and went to arrange the competition and test. This matter was naturally not a big problem for Zhang Yu to handle. Soon, Zhang Yu returned to the hall. "Shadow Master, I have arranged it. The location is set at the Blood Wolf camp, and there are also 5 Blood Wolf cultivators who will participate in the competition." Xueqi nodded. "In that case, let's go and have a look together." Picking up the 10 Wang clan disciples, they went to the Blood Wolf camp west of the Blood Shadow city. There was a valley in the middle of a small mountain, and there were already 10 people waiting here. A late-stage golden core cultivator came out and greeted everyone. Blood Wolf Supervisor Wu Xiang greets the Shadow Master. The Blood Wolf Supervisor's status was extremely high, second only to the Shadow Master and the Great Elder. Xueqi said, "No need to be so polite, Supervisor Wu. Let's start the competition now." Elder Wu said to the 5 early-stage Zifu disciples behind him, Wang Digong of the Northern Mountain Branch has joined the Blood Shadow City. You will test his strength. You are not allowed to injure others during the competition. Xueqi, you go first. Wang Digong took out a grayish-black longsword and walked forward. After greeting Xueqi, they began to fight. Xueqi instantly disappeared, and a moment later, a pitch-black longsword appeared behind Wang Digong and was placed against his neck. Zhang Dingming's face was filled with joy, but in the next moment, he was stunned. Wang Digong's figure suddenly scattered, transforming into countless rays of sword energy. Xueqi hurriedly shouted, I admit defeat. The sword energy disappeared, and Wang Digong's figure appeared. Zhang Dingming sucked in a breath of cold air. It's hard to tell if the sword energy is real or fake. Even a nascent soul cultivator like me would have to carefully examine him before discovering his concealment technique. This is the shadow sword art of the Valley of Beasts. The Wang clan has such a powerful inheritance? Even a mid-stage Zifu disciple of the Blood Shadow City would find it difficult to defeat him. There's no need to compete with the remaining 4. Wang Digong is already a candidate elder. Although the blood-robed divine sovereign was also a powerful cultivator, he was a rogue cultivator. Not long after becoming a powerful cultivator, he died in battle. His inheritance was similar to that of a Mahayana cultivator, and it had not been perfected. After that, the Blood Shadow City did not have any more Mahayana cultivators. They really could not come up with an inheritance that could surpass the shadow sword art. Chapter 888. Blood Shadow's intelligence was really good. The Valley of Beasts had been destroyed for more than 50,000 years. The inheritance of a Mahayana cultivator like the shadow sword technique would not be easily lost. Zhang Dingming could recognize the shadow sword technique at a glance. It seemed that Blood Shadow still had some understanding of the inheritance of the Valley of Beasts. He had already spoken and agreed to let Wang Digong be the candidate elder, so there was no problem for the others. Wang Digong bowed to Zhang Dingming. Thank you, great elder. Seeing his courtesy, everyone was very satisfied. Zhou said, Digong, you will follow Manager Wu to cultivate in the future. Although you are talented, if it is a life-and-death battle, there are many cultivators of the same level who can kill you. I will follow Shadow Lord's teachings. Then, he bowed to Manager Wu. Disciple Wang Digong greets Manager. Manager Wu nodded with satisfaction. Victory without arrogance, worthy of the Yan Kingdom's royal family. Wang Digong's matter was settled. Wu Xiang looked at the remaining 9 disciples of the Wang family. The talent of your 9 spiritual roots has reached the standard to enter the Blood Wolf. However, we still have to test your strength. If you can hold on for half a cup of tea's time, you can join the Blood Wolf. The 9 people said yes, and then an 8th-level foundation establishment disciple of the Wang family stepped forward. A disciple of the same level also came out from the Blood Wolf. The Blood Wolf disciple took out a long sword and saluted, Su Yiming. The Wang family disciple did not take out a magic weapon, but just saluted, Wang Tongyu. After saluting, Su Yiming took the lead. Wang Tongyu waved his sleeve, and a black gas rushed out, and his whole body was hidden in the black gas. This black gas was not like a righteous spell, but with a strong yin qi. The black gas was still spreading around, and soon Su Yiming was shrouded in it. Su Yiming was covered in a silver armor shadow, and the long sword in his hand slashed out sword light, but the black gas did not dissipate at all. He snorted, and the sword light turned into spiritual power and integrated into the black gas. Then the spiritual power in his body suddenly burst out, and the spiritual power in the black gas also emitted a silver light, and a part of the black gas was shaken away. Soon, the black gas rushed out again. Half a cup of tea's time passed quickly. Wang Tongyu still did not face Su Yiming head-on, but he still passed the test. Zhang Dingming pondered for a moment and said, the cultivation method of the Wang family's younger generation does have a hint of the underworld sex inheritance. It's just that the netherworld sex cultivation method is evil, and this junior spiritual power doesn't have the death qi. Wang Tongyu cupped his hands and said, replying to Grand Elder, this disciple is indeed cultivating the netherworld sex inheritance. It's just that when this disciple cultivates this cultivation method, I use natural yin qi instead of death qi. Zhang Dingming nodded. You've held on for half a cup of tea's time. Now you're a member of Blood Wolf. Next, the others began their tests. In the end, 3 of the Wang clan disciples were unable to hold on for half a cup of tea's time and were unable to enter the Blood Wolf. Next, these people would be selected as disciples by the various elders. Zhang Yu smiled and said, although these kids didn't pass the test, their talents are still pretty good. It was just that he had never experienced a life-and-death battle before, so his methods were a bit lacking. It just so happens that I haven't taken in a personal disciple yet, so I can take in one. Su Qinghe also said, I haven't taken in a personal disciple either, but I think this Wang Tonglai isn't bad. His physical strength isn't low, but in the foundation establishment stage, he won't be able to make full use of his physical strength. If he's properly trained, his strength will greatly improve once he reaches the Violet Palace realm. Wu Xiang also looked at the last Wang clan disciple. This child's Golden Rock Wrestling Dragon technique isn't bad, but he lacks a bit of actual combat experience. Leave him to me to train. Personal disciples were like their own sons, and they had to be nurtured with all their might. Taking in a Wang clan disciple as a personal disciple was similar to a marriage alliance. Moreover, looking at Su Qinghe's expression, it was most likely that he wanted a marriage alliance. Wang Tonglie's talent was indeed one of the worst among the 10. However, his appearance wasn't bad. Although his appearance wasn't 1 in a million, he was still a handsome man, and his conduct was also decent. It wasn't wrong to say that body refining cultivators had great potential. Back in the day, any late-stage golden core cultivator from the Savage Sun Palace was at least a third-rate golden core cultivator. He wasn't like the Myriad Spirit Sect and Netherworld Sect cultivators, who were mostly unrated. Apart from the Zhang clan, the other members of Blood Shadow all wanted to get on the Wang clan's boat. Such a heaven-sent opportunity naturally couldn't be missed. The 10 Wang clan disciples all had their own arrangements. Wang Daoyuan said a few words and returned to Blood Shadow City. Then, he accompanied Zhou Wan to the Zhou clan's small courtyard. Zhou Wan asked, I learned from Blood Shadow that Mingchen has already formed his gold core. However, I can't find out what minor abilities he's awakened. Also, where did Digong's shadow sword art come from? This cultivation technique only appeared tens of thousands of years ago when the demons were rampant in the sky-chopping mountain range and the Valley of Beasts suppressed the demons. The other branches of the Valley of Beasts don't have this cultivation technique at all. Wang Daoyuan looked around the small courtyard and asked, no one has set any traps in this small courtyard, right? Don't worry, I've already changed the formations in this courtyard. If anyone has any tricks up their sleeves, they won't be able to hide it from me. Wang Daoyuan smiled. If Mingchen's minor abilities were ordinary, would I not let anyone find out? Zhou Wan was pleasantly surprised. The Nanming primordial fire? Wang Daoyuan nodded his head. Zhou Wan laughed for a long time before saying, the child I gave birth to is indeed promising. Mingchen has even more promising things. Do you want to hear them? Zhou Wan said angrily, hurry up and tell me. Don't keep me in suspense. Mingchen is still the sect master of the Valley of Beasts. All the inheritances of the Valley of Beasts are in my hands. The Vermilion Bird Hall master of the Valley of Beasts contributed greatly to his awakening of the Nanming primordial fire. The first-generation ancestor of the Zhou clan, Zhou Tianpang, was a disciple of the Valley of Beasts Vermilion Bird Hall. Even the 10,000 spirits pagoda left behind by the patriarch of the Valley of Beasts is in Mingchen's hands. Zhou Wan was suspicious. How did you make Mingchen the sect master of the Valley of Beasts? And how did he beat up everyone in the Valley of Beasts? Wang Daoyuan told her about the situation in the Valley of Beasts. He did not hide anything about the Child of Fate. Zhou Wan was silent for a long time after hearing this. It seems like my luck is not too bad. I actually found a Child of Fate as my Dao companion. No matter what happens in the future, even if we lose the Battle of Fate, I will walk down this path with you. Wang Daoyuan smiled. Don't be afraid. I am not an ordinary Child of Fate. Zhou Wan looked at him with disdain. How is it not ordinary? Just because you have a Dharma treasure with a mystic realm? This item is very rare to us, but the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda only has 18 mystic realms. Do you think those with Earth immortal inheritances will care about these things? Her words shocked Wang Daoyuan. His biggest secret had been discovered. However, Zhou Wan thought that it was just an ordinary mystic realm Dharma treasure. The most important thing about the spiritual pearl space was the flow of time, and the growth limit of a mystic realm far exceeded that of an ordinary mystic realm. He could also hide his relationship with the spiritual pearl. After a long time she asked, "How did you know? You may be able to hide it from others, but you can't hide it from me. You can casually release tens of thousands of soul-chasing bees. I have never seen you release spirit bees to gather honey. Without a mystic realm, how can you raise so many soul-chasing bees? Also, I have never seen you go out to gather 4th grade hidden cloud tea. You can casually take out dozens of kilograms. And that Wang Minglong, I have never seen him show his face. He suddenly transformed. He must have been raised in your mystic realm, right? If I was not worried that you would rely too much on this mystic realm, I would not have exposed you. Humph, even the spirit beasts know about the mystic realm. You are still hiding it from me." Wang Daoyuan sighed. "I thought I hid it well. I didn't expect you to find out. I am a cultivator with 5 spiritual roots. The main reason why I can reach where I am today is because of this mystic realm. This thing is too rare in Beiyuan. If it is discovered, not only will I die, but my family will also be destroyed. So, I have never dared to tell others." Chapter 889. Xueqi chuckled. "Do you think you can fool me with that little trick of yours? What's yours is mine. Do you think I'll betray my family's things to others? What delicious food and drink do you have in your secret realm? Give me some. I've been in the Blood Shadow headquarters for so many years, and I still have to maintain an unfathomable image. I don't even dare to eat or drink. It's really suffocating." She knew when to advance and when to retreat. Although she had pointed out the spiritual pearl space, she didn't go in to take a look. Wang Daoyuan took out 2 jars of 100-year-old 100-fruit wine and gave them to her. Then he took out a star-patterned sea cucumber. This star-patterned sea cucumber was 2 feet long and as thick as an adult's calf. There were 7 star patterns on its body, and its cultivation had reached the low grade of the 5th level. This is the star-patterned sea cucumber I got from the Qixing Sea Xiuxian community. This thing doesn't exist in the coastal waters of Beiyuan. You probably haven't eaten it before. In addition to rich spiritual energy, this thing also contains a lot of star power. Even if you reach the soul formation stage, eating this thing will still be very beneficial. It had been more than 30 years since he left the Qixing Sea Xiuxian community, and more than 2,000 years had passed in the space. The 3rd grade star-patterned sea cucumber he caught back then had also grown to the 5th grade. Some of the red blood corals had also grown to the 4th grade, but none had grown to the 5th grade yet. Seeing the sea cucumber, Xueqi was interested. "You can raise sea cucumbers in your secret realm? Give it to me. I'll show you what I can do." Although I haven't eaten star-patterned sea cucumber before, there are many other kinds of sea cucumbers in the East Sea. When I was at the Jade Spring Peak, I learned a few things from 8th Sister. Then, she took the sea cucumber to the kitchen in the south of the East Wing. Since she was willing to take the initiative to cook, Wang Daoyuan was naturally willing to sit back and enjoy the fruits of her labor. Xueqi also had spiritual fire. Even the 5th grade sea cucumber couldn't last long in her hands. An hour later, Xueqi carried a clay pot to the stone table in the courtyard. Placing the clay pot on the stone table, he saw porridge made from sea cucumbers and spirit grains. Foundation establishment cultivators usually don't need to eat. "I don't have anything good here, so I can only make porridge. Your Majesty retired Emperor, please don't dislike it." The hall master personally cooked. How could I dare to dislike it? The 2 of them finished the whole pot of sea cucumber porridge and drank 3 jars of 100-fruit wine each. After eating and drinking their fill, Wang Daoyuan carried Xueqi into the boudoir. Ever since Xueqi became the Shadow Master, they hadn't seen each other for nearly 30 years. This could be considered a reunion after a long separation. After waking up the next day, Xueqi pressed down on Wang Daoyuan and started beating him. "I've had this bed since I was young. You broke it again." Wang Daoyuan hadn't expected the star-patterned sea cucumber to have such benefits. They both ate and the bed couldn't stand it. After a long fight, Xueqi finally calmed down. Wang Daoyuan stayed at the Blood Shadow headquarters for more than half a year. He also contacted his family many times. Yan Empire was peaceful. The 3 demon clans didn't cause trouble. Wang Daoyuan came to the Blood Shadow headquarters this time mainly because he wanted to take a look at Absolute Heaven Abyss. Back then, when his master Thunderflame Daoist was at Golden Core Realm, he once went in for a stroll and even went more than 100 miles deep. With his current cultivation, it shouldn't be a problem for him to go in and investigate. Wang Daoyuan took out a scarlet flame shaped like a Luan phoenix from the space of the spirit pearl and gave it to Zhou Wan. After Mingchen formed his core, he used the gift of heaven and earth to condense the Nanmingli fire. He used the secret art to nurture pseudo-spiritual fire and gave me a pseudo-spiritual fire of the Nanmingli fire. He even asked me to return this scarlet Luan Nirvana flame to you. It can also raise your cultivation. This spiritual fire has already reached Tier 5 low grade and merged with the mother fire once more. The spiritual fire should be able to use this opportunity to advance. Zhou Wan also didn't refuse. She took the flame and kept it in her dantian. My son is still the sensible one. He's much better than a heartless person like you. Wang Daoyuan took out a few beast skin books. When you praise your son, you always have to step on me. This is the inheritance related to the Scarlet Luan divine bird of the Valley of Beasts. Although it doesn't have the inheritance of a Mahayana cultivator, it can still be cultivated to the peak of divine transformation. The cultivation method you cultivate is only deduced by Zhou family's ancestor. It's rather shallow. There's not much meaning in switching cultivation methods now. It's also not bad to refer to these cultivation methods and improve your original cultivation method. Zhou Wan took the beast skin books and asked, "You have to go out for something again?" Wang Daoyuan nodded. "I plan to make a trip to Absolute Heaven Abyss." Back then, Guiyuan's sword Immortal killed several Earth Immortal Realm demons with one sword and split open Ancestral Dragon Mountain. After that, he passed away in Absolute Heaven Abyss. His belongings are all left in Absolute Heaven Abyss. My strongest method now is still Guiyuan's sword Immortal's inheritance. I want to go to the bottom of Absolute Heaven Abyss and see if I can find some of Guiyuan's sword Immortal's belongings. Moreover, Absolute Heaven Abyss was the central area of the Great War between humans and demons back then. There might be many things left behind by powerful figures. Just randomly picking up a bit can also be of great use. Hearing this, Zhou Wan's expression changed. Absolute Heaven Abyss is filled with danger, and there are even more demon remnants. Previously, many of Blood Shadow's ancestors also entered Absolute Heaven Abyss to investigate. But they all returned empty-handed, and some people never came out again. The north side of Absolute Heaven Abyss has a large number of formations. The south side is the core area of Qian Yuan World. There's definitely a lot of defensive measures. Don't go in rashly. Otherwise, your life will be in danger. Wang Daoyuan comforted. Don't worry, I'm not stupid. I won't just charge in foolishly. There are Earth Immortals south of Absolute Heaven Abyss. My identity as the child of destiny can't be hidden from them. When the time comes, those forces definitely won't mind getting rid of me first to have one less opponent in the future war of destiny. In any case, there are spiritual items in the Sea of Seven Stars that can help me break through to soul formation. The legendary Azure Dragon ruins also have spiritual items that can help me break through to Mahayana realm. I won't take the risk to go south of Absolute Heaven Abyss for no reason. As for the demons in Absolute Heaven Abyss, there's no need to worry about them at all. If there are demons that can injure me, then they would have already broken through Absolute Heaven Abyss's defensive formation and turned Beiyuan Xiuxian into a demon domain. Moreover, when I was exploring the Seven Stars secret realm in the Qixing Sea of Xiuxian community, I casually took away a 6th-tier high-grade crafting cauldron. That crafting cauldron is called Xian Xian Cauldron. It's used by the supreme god Xian Xian and was once a 7th-tier mid-grade magic tool. With the Xian Xian Cauldron, even if I encounter a soul formation realm opponent, I have ways to deal with them. Zhou Wan sighed. Since you've already decided, I won't stop you anymore. It's best to be careful. Don't worry, I've always been greedy for life and afraid of death. Before entering Absolute Heaven Abyss, I'll also let my clone scout the way. There won't be any danger. He also left behind 50 jars of 100-fruit wine and 100 nascent cultivating pills for Zhou Wan. He also left behind a few kilograms of 5th-tier low-grade hidden cloud tea. Zhou Wan's cultivation progress was still relatively fast. With these resources, she should be able to break through to mid-stage Yuanying within 10 years. After leaving Blood Shadow's headquarters, Wang Daoyuan didn't head straight to absolute heaven abyss. Instead, he flew towards the southwest. His target was Ascension Valley. The 10,000 Corpses Taoist master cultivated both corpses and ghosts. Back then, his master said that after this guy broke through to 5th tier, normal Yuanian cultivators wouldn't be his opponent. Now, he had stayed in the southern wasteland for more than 100 years and had harmed countless ferocious beasts. The number of refined corpses under his control had probably far surpassed back then. The reason why Wang Daoyuan went over this time was to give him a warning. Lest this guy wanted to cause trouble again and cause unrest in the southern wasteland. Traveling swiftly all the way, he only used a little more than a day's time to arrive at Ascension Valley. There wasn't much difference between this place and before. It was just that the concentration of spiritual energy had clearly increased, already reaching 5th tier low grade. Wang Daoyuan didn't hide and directly revealed his figure. Not long after, a refined corpse walked out. The refined corpse cupped his hands towards him and said, "Greetings, retired emperor." Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "You're quite well informed. You even know a thing or two about Yen Kingdom's matters." No matter what, this old man still takes orders from the Divine Weapon Pavilion. I also have some understanding of the matters within the human race's territory. Retired Emperor's cultivation has reached late-stage Yuanying. You must have made a trip to the Sea of 7 Stars. I wonder how the Imperial Regency is right now? Chapter 890. He didn't expect this guy to be so nostalgic. He was still thinking about the Imperial Regency. Wang Daoyuan didn't plan to hide it from him. There are several forces on the Sea of 7 Stars. The Imperial Regency's hidden forces have all joined Bloodshark. The large sects that destroyed the Imperial Regency have joined forces with other sects to form the 7 Stars Alliance. Both sides fight from time to time, but Bloodshark is in a weaker position and can only survive on the edge of the 7 Islands. They have been fighting for thousands of years, and now they can't fight anymore. Their fighting has greatly weakened their strength. Mystic Ice Island wants to reach out to the Sea of 7 Stars, but there hasn't been any major trouble yet. The Demon Islands have also gone out of control. The demonic cultivators have grown stronger, and the righteous faction has withered. The Imperial Regency's branch, the Zhanhai sect, is also being suppressed by several demonic cultivator forces. Those demonic cultivator sects have been fighting for control of the Demon Islands, and haven't found the time to reach out to the Sea of 7 Stars yet. Refined Corpse sighed. Thousands of years have passed, and the Imperial Regency is still weak. The resources left behind in the past should have been used up long ago. If there aren't any major changes, the Imperial Regency won't be able to recover. By the way, is there any news about the Soul Cultivation Wood? Wang Daoyuan shook his head. There are many theories. Some say that the Imperial Regency's elders moved it to a secret realm, and it's still in Bloodshark's hands. Some say that the Imperial Wind Divine Lord took it away, and some say that the 7 Stars Alliance is hiding it. No matter which theory it is, there is no evidence. If we have the Soul Cultivation Wood and the complete clone soul cultivation technique, the Imperial Regency will be able to recover even if we lack resources. But without the Soul Cultivation Wood, we will have to compete with the 7 Stars Alliance for resources. Although there are some secret realms on the small islands in the outer seas, they can't be compared to the 7 large islands. I'm afraid the Imperial Regency has no hope of reviving. Wang Daoyuan laughed. That's not entirely true. Although Bloodshark is weak, the 7 Stars Alliance is also filled with internal conflicts. In addition, Bloodshark's territory was located at the border of the Barren Land, which was hundreds of thousands of miles away from the large island occupied by the 7 Stars Alliance. It would be difficult for them to gather enough strength to take down Bloodshark. The two sides had been fighting for thousands of years, but there was no clear victor. Now, it was time to see if the Mystic Ice Island and the Demon Islands would interfere with the Sea of 7 Stars. If Bloodshark can rope them in, then we still have a chance. Refined Corpse probed. Although Beiyuan Xiaoxian has stage 5 spiritual qi, it's impossible for a stage 6 yin-yang spiritual item to appear in a short period of time. If the retired emperor wanted to break through to the soul formation stage, he would have to go to the Sea of 7 Stars. I wonder if you can bring me along next time? Wang Daoyuan sneered. What do you think? I don't want people from the Qixing Sea of Xiuxian community to come to Beiyuan Xiuxian and cause trouble for me. Refined corpse sighed. I can't leave this sky-deceiving coffin. It seems that I have no hope of returning to the Sea of Seven Stars. Anyway, you're a refined corpse and a ghost cultivator. You don't have a lifespan limit. You just have to wait. One day, you'll become an Earth immortal. When that time comes, you can go wherever you want, right? I came here not only to see if you've been causing trouble like you did in the Northern Mountains, but also to see the Ascension Passage. You've been here for more than 100 years. You should know about the surrounding secret realms, right? Refined Corpse quickly answered, I haven't even killed a ghost cultivator here. I've only killed some ferocious beasts. I've never refused any orders from the Divine Weapon Pavilion or the Tai Sword Sect. As for the Ascension Passage, most of the secret realms here are formed by the Ascension Passage's broken parts. The secret realm I'm in is the biggest one. It's just that. Wang Daoyuan smiled. You're just afraid that I won't dare to go in? Then, 3 light balls appeared on his body. The 3 light balls were black, red gold, and yellow. They also contained the Thunder Law. They were the 3 thunder arts that Wang Daoyuan had mastered. Refined Corpse was shocked. Please don't be angry, Supreme Emperor. I didn't mean to be disrespectful. Even if I'm in a place with dense yin qi, it won't stop me from using the Gue Water Divine Thunder. With my current strength, no one below the Soul Formation realm can match me. My divine power is the 5 elements domain. No matter how many refined corpses you have, you won't be able to kill me. Lead the way. I'd like to see what the secret realm formed by the Ascension Passage is like. Refined Corpse cupped his hands in acknowledgement. Then, he led Wang Daoyuan to the entrance of a secret realm. Although he wasn't afraid of facing a group of 5th-rank inferior refined corpses, he still had to guard against a sneak attack. He first released the 5th-rank inferior sword puppet Xianbing and let it follow behind Refined Corpse. They entered the secret realm first. Wang Daoyuan had cultivated the complete doppelganger soul nurturing technique. He could ignore the isolation of the secret realm and directly sense his doppelganger. After Xianbing entered the secret realm, there weren't any refined corpses lying in ambush. Wang Daoyuan followed behind. On the other hand, Refined Corpse was curious. The Northern Abyss cultivation world doesn't have any profound inheritance of puppetry. Could this 5th-grade low-grade sword puppet be the inheritance of my Imperial Spirit sect? Wang Daoyuan had snatched the inheritance from the Ziwei Palace. Although the Imperial Regency's puppetry art was much more advanced, there was an obvious connection between the two. The Imperial Regency must have obtained some of the Shenlian School's puppetry art and integrated it into their own puppetry art. It's somewhat related, but not completely. Seeing that he wasn't willing to elaborate, Refined Corpse didn't ask further. This secret realm was a bit like the Hell Secret Realm in Shanbei, but there was more corpse qi. The entire secret realm was covered in a layer of black fog. This was formed by the fusion of yin qi and the corpse qi of the refined corpses. It had a strong blocking effect on divine sense. There was a yin meridian in this secret realm. The concentration of yin qi had reached the 5th-rank inferior level. The secret realm wasn't small. It had a diameter of more than 100 miles, about the same as the Green Willow secret realm. Refined Corpse brought Wang Daoyuan to the center of the secret realm. There was a huge hole with a diameter of 100 feet. The hole was also filled with black qi, and the situation below couldn't be seen clearly. Retired Emperor, this is the Broken Ascension Passage. I've sent the refined corpses down to check it out. It's only a few 100 feet deep, and there are spatial cracks at the bottom. Wang Daoyuan didn't let the sword puppet go down. Instead, he released his clone, Liao Yang. Liao Yang flew carefully into the hole to investigate the situation. Closer to the ground, there were still rocks on the sides. After descending 200 feet, Wang Daoyuan felt obvious spatial fluctuations. It was like passing through the light screen at the entrance of the secret realm. Furthermore, there were obvious spatial fluctuations in the remaining 200 zhong. At this time, the walls of the cave were no longer rocks, but a light screen. From time to time, spatial cracks would appear. This light screen was similar to the entrance of the secret realm. It was formed by the laws of space. The Ascension Passage was originally a matter of laws. It was impossible for there to be a stone cave from the world of his previous life to this world. Here, there was no black fog formed by corpse qi and yin qi. He could see the bottom of the passage at a glance. Looking down, it was the same situation. It was just that there were more spatial cracks. However, after reaching a depth of 200 feet, the passage disappeared, leaving only a light screen. On this light screen, spatial cracks were densely packed like a spider web. They kept appearing and disappearing, and this cycle repeated. The spatial cracks were extremely powerful. Even if a cultivator at the peak of the soul formation realm encountered them, they would be seriously injured if not killed. After passing through this light screen, there should be an endless void on the other side. Liao Yang's cultivation was at the peak of the golden core realm. He would definitely die if he went down. Wang Daoyuan summoned him and kept him in the space of the spiritual pearl. Wang Daoyuan still had some nostalgia for the world of his previous life. He had always wanted to go back and take a look. Now that the ascension passage had become like this, it was impossible to go back from here. Then, he checked the place where the 10,000 corpse Daoist stored the refined corpses. In the end, he found that this guy had already raised 3 low-grade 5th-grade refined corpses and hundreds of 4th-grade refined corpses. Among them, there were 5 that had a chance of breaking through to the 5th grade. This strength was not inferior to a top force. Wang Daoyuan asked, "You raised so many 5th-grade refined corpses. Do you want to establish your own sect in the southern wasteland?" Chapter 891. When Wang Daoyuan was in Beiyuan Xiuxian, the 10,000 corpses spiritual master and his group of refined corpses couldn't do much. When he left Beiyuan and went to the Sea of 7 Stars, this guy might cause trouble. The others didn't have the means to easily suppress a group of refined corpses. If this guy cultivated more than 10 5th-rank refined corpses, the southern wasteland would be in chaos. The human race was facing strong enemies on 3 sides, and only the southern wasteland was peaceful. He didn't want another strong enemy to appear in the southern wasteland. Hearing this, the refined corpse that led Wang Daoyuan panicked. "I didn't mean that. I just killed a lot of fierce beasts and got a lot of blood essence. These things can't be wasted. So I cultivated a few refined corpses with good foundations to 5th rank. Besides, this heaven-deceiving coffin has the means left behind by Lei Yan. He can destroy it at any time. At that time, I will be discovered by the heavenly Tao, and then there will be heavenly punishment. I used the Yellow Spring secret realm to hide from the heavenly punishment for thousands of years. Now that I'm exposed, I'll definitely die. I don't have the guts to establish my own sect in the southern wasteland." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Which one of us cultivators doesn't want to increase our strength? But at the same time, we can't do it without restrictions. Back then you could only deal with 10 or 20 late-stage Aurus core cultivators at the same time, and you were attacked by a group. Now, I can easily kill dozens of Yuanian cultivators, but the humans in Beiyuan treat me as their protector. Do you know why?" The refined corpse was silent for a long time. "I used to think that I was attacked because I was a heretic cultivator. After sleeping for thousands of years, I finally understood that it was because I threatened the other powers. As for why they allowed you to stay, I don't understand. I have a family, a wife, and children. I can't abandon them. And my existence is more beneficial than harmful to them. With me, the demons won't dare to be impudent, and the human race can be protected. I'm inextricably linked to all the major factions in the North Abyss cultivation world. The rise of the Yen Kingdom will only become a part of them, not replace them. But you don't have any of these things. You're walking the path of refining corpses. Whether or not there are any living people in Beiyuan won't affect your cultivation. Without a family or property, you would have nothing to tie you down. You could slaughter the entire humankind at any time. Is there any difference between your situation now and thousands of years ago?" Since he had the strength to cause chaos in the southern wasteland, he did not have much to worry about. "Your only weakness is the heaven-deceiving coffin. If it weren't for the fact that the heaven-deceiving coffin could restrain you, the 4 top forces would have killed you long ago. The backup plan left by Xueqi is not so much to restrain you, but to protect you. However, if you continue to expand your forces and make the other major powers feel threatened, then you can just wait for death." Back then, this guy was just a very ordinary disciple of the Imperial Regency. Later on, he was on the run and didn't have much contact with others. After arriving in Beiyuan, there was another round of slaughter. He had never been the decision-maker of a force, and he rarely interacted with others. Even though he had lived for thousands of years, his understanding of the human heart was still lacking. Of course, he wasn't stupid. With Wang Daoyuan's reminder, he immediately understood. In that case, I could be besieged by the major powers at any time? No matter what, we still have some ties. Some of your inheritance came from me. What should I do? Please give me a way out, Your Majesty. This guy still knew the difference between life and death. Then there was still hope. 3 rank 5 corpses are already not weak. There aren't any strong enemies in the southern wasteland. If you have more rank 5 corpses, then you'll be having improper thoughts. A few fewer refined corpses won't affect your own cultivation either. You know very well what to do. The refined corpse bowed. Thank you, Your Majesty, for your advice. This old one will not nurture any more rank 5 corpses. I have other matters to attend to, so I won't stay here for long. When I have time, I'll come here to take a look. If I find other rank 5 corpses, don't blame me for killing them. With that, he left the secret realm and headed towards the southeast. Soon, the flying boat arrived at Sky Devil Valley. Now, this place was already a large lake with a radius of several hundred miles. Back then, when Sky Devil Valley was burned, the effects were still very good. There wasn't a trace of fiendish energy existing in the lake. There were also quite a few aquatic fierce beasts swimming in it. Wang Daoyuan flew to the southernmost end of Sky Devil Valley, a place close to Absolute Heaven Abyss. In front of him was the array formation that bound Absolute Heaven Abyss. The formation patterns were carved on the cliff wall of Absolute Heaven Abyss's north shore. On some of the protruding rocks, some of the formation patterns could be seen. Even with his middle-grade rank 5 array master standard, it was also hard to identify these formation patterns. Since he was already here, he couldn't just watch. Releasing his clone Liao Yang, let him enter Absolute Heaven Abyss. What Wang Daoyuan was most afraid of was not that there was any danger in Absolute Heaven Abyss, but that after entering Absolute Heaven Abyss, wanting to return again, but being blocked by the array formation. Master had made a trip there and also successfully returned. But now that spiritual energy had recovered, the power of the array formation also increased. Let his clone test the waters first. If his clone couldn't return, then he wouldn't go in. The clone Liao Yang crossed the array formation very easily and entered Absolute Heaven Abyss. With Wang Daoyuan's all-encompassing perception clone, Liao Yang only felt like his entire body was being sliced by blades right now. The black energy in this Absolute Heaven Abyss was even more powerful than the 9 heavens gale. Just entering for a while, the black energy started invading his physical body. After the black energy entered the body, it rapidly integrated into the meridians and blood, and flowed along the vital energy and meridians. Places that the black energy passed through were like thousands of ants biting. This kind of black energy was not what golden core cultivators could resist. Master being able to enter 100 miles into Absolute Heaven Abyss back then was most likely relying on the exquisite pagoda to resist the corrosion of the black energy. Wang Daoyuan did not dare to let Liao Yang stay for long either, controlling him to immediately leave Absolute Heaven Abyss. This time, when passing through the array formation, the clone suffered a bit of obstruction. No idea if it was because the black energy of Absolute Heaven Abyss was integrated into his body, or because he was a fiendish cultivator. However, it was fine as long as he could return. Wang Daoyuan kept him into the spirit bead space, personally crossing the array formation and entering Absolute Heaven Abyss. Just as he entered, a wave of black energy surged towards his body. Wang Daoyuan used spirit energy to condense a protective aura, which could temporarily block the black energy from invading his body. However, this black energy would gradually erode the protective aura. One had to continuously inject spirit energy into the protective aura to barely maintain it. This place was filled with black energy everywhere. There was no spirit energy that cultivators could refine at all. As a Yuanian cultivator, his comprehension of laws was deeper, and the things he could sense were also more. Other than the black energy invading his body, he also felt that this Absolute Heaven Abyss had another unusual place, and that was that the power of laws in Absolute Heaven Abyss was extremely thin. Flying more than 10 miles into the depths of Absolute Heaven Abyss, this power of laws became even thinner, practically unable to sense it. The power of laws was derived from the heavenly Tao, A place without the power of laws was a place that the heavenly Tao could not control. There was no spirit energy here, and also no power of laws. In addition to the black energy invading the body, one had to use spirit energy to resist it. Even if a soul formation cultivator came here, they would also be slowly exhausted to death. Wang Daoyuan had the spirit orb space to provide spirit energy, so he could stay here for a very long time. However, there was no spirit energy here. When he needed to fight, he could not borrow external force with his small divine abilities, and his strength would be slightly affected. He flew towards the southeast. There was something there that made him feel close, and made the spirit orb feel fear. Back then, when he first came to the south after forming his core, he sensed this thing. Activating sword intent. This thing could resonate with sword intent. Back then, the one who hacked out Absolute Heaven Abyss and damaged the spirit orb was Guiyuan's sword immortal. To be able to make the spirit orb feel fear, it must be something he left behind. Entering Absolute Heaven Abyss. How could he return empty-handed? Less than 100 miles in, he encountered a whirlpool formed by black energy. In this whirlpool, black energy violently surged. Wang Daoyuan only got slightly closer, and the speed of his protective aura being eroded increased by several times. A wise man knows better than to lose. He hurriedly went around this whirlpool. After flying for more than 1,000 miles, a burst of laughter came into his ears. There's actually a human brat who dares to come to Absolute Heaven Abyss, and he's even a late-stage Yuanying. Brothers, let's attack together and eat this guy. Chapter 892. There were no other powerful races in the Absolute Heaven Abyss. This guy who spoke was definitely a fiend. Seeing through that he was a late-stage Yuanying cultivator and still being fearless, it could only be a fiend. Wang Daoyuan cast the heaven-prying mystic art to investigate the surroundings. Sure enough, 200 miles ahead, he discovered a fiend that was more than 30 feet tall. Looking at this guy's surging vital energy, he should be of the blood fiend lineage. His cultivation was also late-stage Yuanying. Encountering such a guy, not only did Wang Daoyuan not panic, he was rather overjoyed instead. The true fiend blood lotus that he planted in the spirit pearl space was already about to bloom after being watered by blood flame for many years. However, this true fiend blood lotus was only high-grade rank 4. Blood flame was only a late-stage golden core fiend. To let the true fiend blood lotus advance a step further and become a rank 5 spirit plant, it must have the blood essence of a rank 5 blood fiend to water it. Wang Daoyuan was still worrying about not being able to find a rank 5 blood fiend. Now, it delivered itself to his doorstep. He directly cast the void-piercing sword shift, turning into a long sword phantom, and charged towards the blood fiend. These fiends lived in the Absolute Heaven Abyss for a long time and were clearly more adapted to this black gas. He seemed to be able to directly see things 200 miles away with his naked eye. The moment Wang Daoyuan moved, he immediately retreated. The fiends of the blood fiend lineage also looked grotesquely shaped. Some species grew a pair of wings, and their speed was not slow. While this one did not have wings, its speed was far inferior to the sword shift. The blood fiend's hands were not idle either, summoning a blood-colored long spear. Wang Daoyuan flew to within 10 miles of the blood fiend. Several streaks of silver light flew out from the sword phantom. The blood fiend waved the long spear, easily blocking the sword light. Wang Daoyuan regarded this blood fiend highly. Being able to easily block his casual attack at the same cultivation, his strength was not weak. The blood fiend repeatedly waved the long spear, several streaks of blood light flying out. Wang Daoyuan dispersed the void-piercing sword shift, condensing 10 sword phantoms, scattering all of the blood light. The origin returning sword was already grasped in his hand, his body instantly disappearing. Only to see a dazzling silver light flash past, an ear-piercing sound echoed. The blood-colored long spear broke, and the blood fiend turned pale with fright. Instantly, he turned into a streak of bloody light, trying to escape. At this moment, 3 more Yuanying demons appeared 200 miles away. However, their cultivation levels were relatively low. One of them was in the middle stage of Yuanying, while the other 2 were only in the early stage of Yuanying. Wang Daoyuan's domain god art was limited here. If he faced 4 devils at the same time, it wouldn't be easy to take them down in a short time. He directly used the white tiger soul-subduing roar. Although the nomological powers here were thin, they were still in the Qianyuan world. The divine beast's restraining effect on the infernal still existed. The late Yuanying devil clan was closer to the tiger's roar. He was stunned for a moment, and the blood escape was also interrupted. The white tiger soul-subduing roar alone was not enough to make an opponent of the same level completely lose their ability to resist. However, this momentary daze was enough to determine life and death. Wang Daoyuan struck while the iron was hot. He executed the silver light evasion once more and chased after them. He took out the Xian cauldron and put it into the cauldron. In terms of suppression, the Xian cauldron was far inferior to the 10,000 spirits pagoda. However, it was a dignified low-grade Tier 6 Dharma artifact with an artifact spirit. Suppressing a late Yuanying devil clan was a piece of cake. The other 3 demons were further away, so they weren't affected too much. However, when they saw their leader being taken down in an instant, how would they dare to court death? They directly abandoned their companions and turned to run. Wang Daoyuan could not be bothered with them and continued to head towards the place he sensed. Along the way, there were a few more black whirlpools. After more than 2 hours, he finally arrived at his destination. There was actually not a trace of black qi within 100 miles of this place. In the center of this place was a tall stone pillar. The stone pillar was not small, with a diameter of more than 15 miles. The reason why it was called a stone pillar and not a mountain was because the stone pillar was the same size. The side of the stone pillar was densely engraved with nomological inscriptions. Looking down the stone pillar, it was pitch black. It was unknown how deep this absolute heaven abyss was. This was clearly not formed naturally, but should have been refined by an expert. The top of the stone pillar was also very simple. There was a lone grave, a stone tablet, a rusted sword, and a few stalks of grass. Not a single blade of grass grew in the absolute heaven abyss. On this lone grave, there were actually a few stalks of grass. Although they looked sickly, they contained a strong vitality. As soon as Wang Daoyuan entered the 50-kilometer radius of the stone pillar, he felt a strong killing aura, as well as the extremely familiar sword intent of returning origin. The rusted sword began to tremble violently, and a sword gleam slashed towards him. Wang Daoyuan did not dare to be careless. He hurriedly took out the Guiyuan sword and activated his own Guiyuan sword intent, preparing to block this sword gleam. Soon, this sword gleam disappeared into thin air. The Guiyuan sword intent from the rusted sword resonated with Wang Daoyuan's sword intent. The killing intent had also disappeared. Instead, he felt some familiarity. Wang Daoyuan first released the sword puppet, Xian Bing, and let it land on the stone pillar. A wave of killing intent came from the rusted sword, enveloping Xian Bing. As soon as Xian Bing displayed the Guiyuan sword intent, this killing intent disappeared. It landed in front of the grave and did not suffer any attacks. Only then did Wang Daoyuan relax and land on the stone pillar. On the simple stone tablet in front of the lone grave was engraved, Tomb of Late Master Guiyuan Sword Immortal. There was also a row of small words next to it, engraved, Unworthy Disciple Guiyun Li. According to the Guiyuan record obtained in Ziwei Hall, Guiyun was the second disciple of Guiyuan Sword Immortal. He was the one who went to the Sea of Seven Stars and asked the supreme divinity Xian to forge the 8th-level Guiyuan sword. Wang Daoyuan obtained the inheritance in the Guiyuan record, and was also considered Guiyuan Sword Immortal's disciple. Guiyuan was considered his second senior brother. He walked in front of Guiyuan Sword Immortal's tomb and bowed. Junior Wang Daoyuan, by chance, obtained senior's inheritance. I hereby kowtow and thank senior for his great kindness. After getting up, a voice came from the rusted sword. Did you obtain the inheritance from the Shenlian school in the Sea of Seven Stars? A faint white figure appeared on the rusted sword. When Wang Daoyuan obtained the Guiyuan sword diagram in Ziwei school, he had seen the back of Guiyuan Sword Immortal. At that time, the aura was exactly the same as this white figure. This should be Guiyuan Sword Immortal. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly bowed. Junior Wang Daoyuan greets Guiyuan Sword Immortal. More than 100 years ago, in the Sky Devil Valley north of the decimating Heaven Abyss, the Devil Race caused chaos. During the battle with the Devil Race, I received guidance from Senior and comprehended the Guiyuan sword intent. Later, I went to the Qixing Si Xiuxian community to search for opportunities and entered the secret realm left behind by Xinlian school. I obtained the Guiyuan sword diagram and Guiyuan record left behind by Senior. The white figure sighed. Xian Xian Dao Yu died in battle. It seems that the Xinlian school's inheritance was also cut off. I still have some impression of the sword intent resonance from 100 years ago. At that time, I felt that there was a person on the north shore of the decimating heaven abyss that had some connection with me. Coincidentally, you were fusing the sword intent at that time, so I released some sword intent to guide you. You were able to use this opportunity to comprehend the Guiyuan sword intent. This is also your opportunity. To be able to comprehend the Guiyuan sword intent, your talent is naturally not bad. You also received my inheritance, so you can be considered my personal disciple. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly crawled along the pole, kneeling 3 times and kowtowing 9 times. Disciple Wang Daoyuan greets Master. He was only an in-name disciple of Taoist Lei Yen. A cultivator could be the in-name disciple of many cultivators. There was no problem with him taking other people as his master. Guiyuan's sword immortal was full of smiles. Good, I didn't expect that after so many years, I would still be able to take in a personal disciple. From now on, you are my 3rd disciple. Your eldest apprentice brother Guiyuan died in battle. Second apprentice brother Guiyun should still be alive. Guiyun's talent is slightly lacking, but he is kind and loyal. When you see him in the future, show him the Guiyuan sword intent. If you have any problems, just ask him for help. Wang Daoyuan nodded in agreement, and asked again. Master, why are you in this sword? Guiyuan's sword immortal sighed. In the past, in order to exterminate the devil race, I fused all of my power into the sword and slashed out a heaven-shaking sword. After this sword slash, I passed away at that time. My soul should have also dissipated. But I didn't expect that my soul would actually fuse into the sword and fuse with a weapon spirit that had yet to take form. Borrowing the power of the sword, my soul has survived until now. Chapter 893. This rusted sword should be the 8th order origin sword that Divine Venerable Forging Immortal had helped to forge. According to the Xian Xian Cauldron, Guiyuan's sword immortal died more than 10 years after he left. Presumably, that was when the war between humans and demons was at its most intense. Guiyuan's sword immortal had just obtained the sword of origin, so it should not have given birth to a complete artifact spirit. He still had 5 such unformed artifact spirits in his winged dragons. It was not completely impossible for Guiyuan's sword immortal's soul to fuse with an unformed artifact spirit. Wang Daoyuan asked, Master, why didn't second senior brother bury your body elsewhere, but in this decimating heaven abyss? Why don't I move you somewhere else? Guiyuan's sword immortal sighed. Your second senior brother had no choice. When I passed away, he was only at the mid-Mahayana realm. Your eldest senior brother was a mighty figure, but he had already died in battle before I passed away. He was a junior who was not even a mighty figure, so he did not have much say. I could cut Ancestral Dragon Mountain in half and create the decimating heaven abyss on the ground, so I naturally had the ability to destroy the entire Qianyuan realm. The heavenly axiom and those earth immortals were afraid that my inheritance would spread, and the Qianyuan realm would no longer be peaceful. So I placed my grave in this decimating heaven abyss, and placed the sword of origin here. Your second senior brother's talent was not very strong, and he did not learn the essence of the sword of origin, so he could not pose too much of a threat. Although there are some inheritances outside, without my personal guidance, it would be difficult for him to achieve anything. The power of laws here is weak, so the heavenly axiom should not be able to exert much power. I'll move your body to the north of the decimating heaven abyss for burial, so there should be no problem. Guiyuan's sword immortal shook his head. It's good that you have this intention. It's the same wherever you are buried. Those people also put in a lot of effort to prevent my inheritance from spreading. This stone pillar is quite extraordinary. It's a formation set up by many earth immortals and mighty figures. The decimating heaven abyss is actually a crack in the Qianyuan realm. It leads straight to the endless void. This black gas is formed by the chaotic power in the void, mixed with the power of the heavenly axiom of the Qianyuan realm. The law inscriptions on the stone pillar can transform the black gas into spiritual power to nourish the sword of origin. Then, borrow the power of the origin returning sword to suppress the absolute heaven abyss. If there was no one suppressing absolute heaven abyss, the living beings wandering in the void would be able to enter and exit this place at will. Even the demons could easily enter. Devils with high cultivation could break through the array formation of the North Bank and enter the Qian Yuan world. At that time, the fiend race could use Beiyuan as a foothold and attack the south of absolute heaven abyss. The formation on the stone pillar continuously converted the black gas into spiritual energy and infused it into the origin restoring sword. As long as a power of deity transformation and above appeared in the absolute heaven abyss, the origin returning sword would be able to borrow the power of the heavenly Tao to kill it. Only those who possess the sword essence of Gui Yuan and are able to resonate with the sword essence of Gui Yuan will be able to avoid this danger. Upon hearing this, Wang Daoyuan felt indignant. Master, you have contributed greatly to the entire Qianyuan realm, yet those people treat you like this. Sword Immortal Guiyuan smiled sadly. My strength is feared by the heavenly Tao. It's not strange for me to be suppressed. Now that I've fallen to this point, I no longer have the chance to reincarnate. Even if I leave, what can I do? Every 10,000 years, your second senior brother will enter the absolute heaven abyss to help nurture the origin restoring sword, so as to prevent the sword essence from weakening and not being able to suppress the remnants of the fiend race. If I don't guard the absolute heaven abyss, I'm afraid every powerful being will want to destroy me. If I lose my value, your second senior brother will also lose his value. Those people will also not keep him. I'm staying here to protect your second senior brother. I have contributed greatly to the Qianyuan realm, and the heavenly Tao cannot erase it. When the absolute heaven abyss recovers in the future, I will definitely be able to obtain many benefits. It won't be a problem to enter the cycle of reincarnation with my memories and the remnants of this life. Wang Daoyuan sighed. I've received Master's inheritance, but I can't do anything for Master. I'm really ashamed. Sword Immortal Guiyuan smiled. There's no need for that. I see that you're a Penta Spirit Veins cultivator, the same as me. The origin restoring sword is made of mixed divine gold and has no attributes. Your second senior brother is a metal attribute cultivator. He's still lacking a bit in nurturing the origin restoring sword. The spiritual energy converted from this stone pillar is also very impure. It's hard for me to unleash enough power. This origin restoring sword is also slowly being corroded, becoming rusty. If this goes on, even with your second senior brother nurturing it, it won't be able to last for many years. Inject some spiritual energy into the origin restoring sword. If you use up too much of your spiritual energy, go to the North Bank to recover. With the 5-element spiritual energy nurturing it, I can also hold on for a few more years. As long as I'm here, no one will dare to kill the two of you. Wang Daoyuan released the 5-element spiritual fire and asked, Master, my spiritual energy has the attribute of spiritual fire. Do you think it's okay? Sword Immortal Guiyuan was overjoyed. It's even better if you have spiritual fire. You can refine the impure spiritual energy converted from this formation. I can even give you a bit of this spiritual energy, so you don't have to run back and forth. I'll pass the spiritual energy converted from this formation to you. After you refine it with spiritual fire, you can use it to nurture the origin restoring sword. Wang Daoyuan nodded. A multicolored spiritual energy was emitted from the origin restoring sword. Although this spiritual energy was impure, its quality was extremely high. To be able to nurture a level 8 origin restoring sword for tens of thousands of years, it had to be at least level 7. He drew out a wisp of each 5-element spiritual fire and used it to burn this spiritual energy. Soon, the entire stone pillar turned into a sea of fire. Wang Daoyuan kept extracting spiritual energy from the sea of fire and infusing it into the origin restoring sword. Of course, there was also a small amount of spiritual energy that entered his body. He stayed here for a year. The rust on the origin restoring sword had completely receded, and the sword had returned to its original appearance. Even the soul of Sword Immortal Guiyuan had become much more solid. Wang Daoyuan's gains were also great. He had a huge amount of level 7 spiritual energy, and the personal guidance of the Sword Immortal. He had successfully broken through to the peak of Yuanying, and his sword intent had also improved greatly. According to what Sword Immortal Guiyuan said, the current Wang Daoyuan, with a level 6 magic artifact, would be able to escape unscathed if he fought with a level 6 cultivator. Of course, it would be impossible to win. After all, The gap between soul formation cultivators and Yuanying cultivators was too great. It was not something that Sword Intent could make up for. Sword Immortal Guiyuan smiled. In tens of thousands of years, I have never been so relaxed. Oh right, do you still have that origin restoring sword diagram on you? Wang Daoyuan took out the sword diagram from the space in the spiritual pearl. I have always carried this sword diagram with me. I often take it out to study. Sword Immortal Guiyuan waved his hand, and the sword diagram unfolded automatically. Then, he started to extract the sword intent from the sword diagram. After a long time, he put away the sword diagram. My own sword intent is still better. With your help, I can hold on for tens of thousands of years without a problem. I have extracted more than half of the sword intent from the origin restoring sword diagram, but it is not a big problem. Use your spiritual energy and divine sense to nourish it. You can still slowly recover. With me standing guard here, there is nothing in heaven-ending abyss that can harm you. Come here often in the future, I will give you a lot of pointers. In this year, I discovered that your comprehension ability is extremely good. It is much better than your two senior brothers, and even a bit better than me. With my pointers, you will definitely be able to comprehend the essence of the origin restoring sword intent. It is also not impossible for you to surpass me in the future. South of heaven-ending abyss, under a tall plum tree, two old men were drinking wine. The black-robed old man looked at heaven-ending abyss with a worried expression. What is this old brother Guan doing? In this year, heaven-ending abyss has not been peaceful. First, the black chi was restless. This origin-restoring sword intent also became stronger and stronger. Now, the sword intent has suddenly skyrocketed. The white-robed old man smiled. As long as nothing crosses the formation, it has nothing to do with us. Sword Immortal Guiyuan has done so much for Qian Yuan world, yet he has fallen to such a state. We are two idlers who were sent here, why do we care so much? Old brother Guiyuan's increasing strength is not a bad thing. The black-robed old man picked up the wine jar. That is right. When old brother Guiyuan comes out, he will not find trouble with us. When the time comes, let's see which grandsons are afraid. Chapter 894. The two old men looked at each other and smiled, then continued drinking. Guiyuan Sword Immortal looked at the 5 elemental spiritual fires beside him and smiled. You're quite lucky, these 5 spiritual fires are quite extraordinary, you actually found all of them. Even in the Qian Yuan world, I've never heard of anyone who could find all of them. Unfortunately, your spiritual fire's grade is too low. Even if you burn rank 7 spiritual power, you can't convert it into yin and yang qi of high quality. Otherwise, you can use these 2 types of spiritual fire to refine your yuanying. In time, you can also transform into an essence soul and break through to the soul formation realm. Unfortunately, without rank 6 yin and yang qi, the effect is worse than sunbathing. Wang Daoyuan didn't care at all. I've already made plans. When I'm done with my family's matters, I'll head to the Qixing Si Xiuxian community to look for soul formation spiritual items. I've already gone there once when I was at the peak of the Golden Core realm. Now that I'm at the peak of the Yuanying realm, it's not a problem to go again. My family is north of the Wanchuan River, next to the Tianzhan mountain range. There are often demons causing trouble there. If I don't contact my family for a long time, I'm afraid there will be trouble there. Master, since you've recovered, I'll take my leave. When I'm free, I'll come to see you again. He was mainly afraid that Zhou Wan would be worried. After all, the decimating heaven abyss wasn't a simple place. It was difficult to stay there for even a day, and Wang Daoyuan had already stayed there for a year. Guiyuan Sword Immortal waved his hand. If you have something to do, just do it, I'm in a good state now. Even if an earth immortal or demon comes, I can kill him with one sword, don't worry about me. However, don't go to the south bank of the decimating heaven abyss. The formation there is extremely powerful. Without Mahayana cultivation, you'll be courting death. Also, there are powerful beings guarding outside the formation. There are even earth immortals guarding the important areas. The order they received is to kill all living beings who dare to go there, regardless of whether you're a human or a demon. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands. Master, don't worry, I've always been afraid of death, I won't take risks. After bidding farewell to Guiyuan Sword Immortal, he flew towards the north. The place where this stone pillar was located was merely a few thousand kilometers away from the northern shore of the absolute heaven abyss. It only took him a little more than a quarter of an hour to reach the north shore. When they passed through the formation, they didn't encounter any obstacles. The place where he came ashore was precisely the eastern end of the demon-resisting mountain, a place not far from the heavenly/mountain range. Back then, fiends would frequently appear here as well. Ever since the Heavenly Devil Valley's fiend chaos, the fiends that escaped from absolute heaven abyss were practically wiped out in one fell swoop. Right now, there were no traces of the devil race here, only some devil cultivators. However, these demonic cultivators were only at the peak of the Golden Core realm. After all, their cultivation techniques originated from the devil race and were suppressed by the heavenly Tao. They often killed the innocent. Yuanying's heavenly tribulation was extremely terrifying. In order to survive the Yuanying heavenly tribulation, he would probably need a level 5 magic artifact. Now that the spiritual energy in Beiyuan Xueqi had just recovered, there were no materials to recover to the 5th level. If one wanted to refine a low-grade 5th-tier magic tool, it was not something an ordinary force could do. In the future, the main threats to the southern wasteland would still be the ferocious beasts and the 10,000 corpses immortal. Wang Daoyuan casually found a cave and released Protector Xianbing and Protector Xianding. Afterwards, he took out the Xian cauldron. The blood demon that was captured in absolute heaven abyss was stored in the Xian cauldron. Coupled with the time flow of the spiritual bead space, this guy had already been tortured for more than 80 years. The artifact spirit of the Xian cauldron came out, and Wang Daoyuan asked, "How's that blood demon?" The artifact spirit had a proud look. "This old man can't do other things, but refining something is still no problem. This blood demon's qi, blood, and fiend spiritual energy have already been more or less absorbed by me. Now that he can unleash the strength of a golden core, he can be considered capable." Wang Daoyuan pulled this guy out of the Xian cauldron. Sure enough, this blood demon was only left with skin and bones. The vitality of his body was already very weak, which was the level of an initial stage golden core cultivator. Seeing Wang Daoyuan, he still wanted to scare him. Looking at the environment here, he was stunned at once. "Where did you bring me to? This isn't absolute heaven abyss." Wang Daoyuan could not be bothered with him, and directly used the white tiger soul subduing roar. This blood demon did not have late-stage Yuanying spiritual energy to protect his body right now. Under the roar, he could not withstand a single blow, and instantly fainted. Wang Daoyuan took out the divided soul in Xueyan's body, and merged it into the blood demon's soul. The fiend race's cultivation system was rather similar to the human race's. There was also a Yuanying that looked very similar to the main body. Putting it into the spiritual bead space, after the divided soul took control of his body, Wang Daoyuan began to pry into his memories. This blood demon was called Xueqi, and there was nothing unusual about his background. His parents were both golden core fiends, and there was nothing special about them. This guy belonged to the category of gifted, and relied on himself to cultivate to late-stage Yuanying. Because absolute heaven abyss had Guiyuan's sword immortal guarding it, high-level fiends could not survive at all. Late-stage and pinnacle Yuanying cultivation was already the pinnacle of the fiends. From this fiend's memories, Wang Daoyuan understood the living conditions of the fiends in absolute heaven abyss. The fiends in absolute heaven abyss existed in the form of tribes. Every time they wanted to cause trouble, each tribe would send out experts. This Xueqi was the leader of a tribe, and the few Yuanying fiends that were scared away by Wang Daoyuan were also members of his tribe. The black qi in absolute heaven abyss was formed by the chaotic energy in the endless void, and the power of laws of the Qianyuan world. The reason why the fiends could conquer various worlds was because they could use the chaotic energy in the void to cultivate. Otherwise, they would not be able to survive in absolute heaven abyss. Compared to the human race, the fiends had two huge advantages. One was that every fiend could cultivate from birth. Another huge advantage was that their lifespan was longer, about 3 times that of human cultivators of the same level. Of course, there were also many disadvantages. It was much harder for fiends to give birth to children than humans. Human parents were Yuanying cultivators, and on average, they could give birth to a child every 50 to 60 years. On the other hand, Yuanying fiends could only give birth to a child every 200 to 300 years. Furthermore, their cultivation speed was very slow, even slower than the fiends. For example, Xueqi was already 4,000 years old, and had just cultivated to late-stage yuanying. This talent was already top-notch among the fiends. Wang Daoyuan's cultivation speed was delayed by resources in his early years. Now that he had cultivated to the pinnacle of yuanying, he was not even 400 years old. As for human heavenly spirit root cultivators, with sufficient resources, they could cultivate to late-stage yuanying at less than 400 years old. The fiends' cultivation speed was slow, but they could use plunder to increase their cultivation speed. For example, the blood fiends could absorb the blood essence of fierce beasts to cultivate. And the Een demons could devour the souls of other living beings to cultivate. With these methods, the fiends' cultivation speed greatly increased. There were similar resources in Absolute Heaven Abyss. Back then, when the fiends invaded Absolute Heaven Abyss, they brought many things similar to fiends, called fiend beasts. These fiend beasts could directly refine the chaotic energy in Absolute Heaven Abyss, and there were many types. Some fiend beasts were similar to fierce beasts, their bodies were extremely strong, but their intelligence was extremely low. Some of them were physically weak, but their souls were strong. These fiend beasts could be used as mounts for the fiends, and could also be used as food. Other than that, the fiends also brought some special spirit plants that could survive in Absolute Heaven Abyss's environment. These special spirit plants were also food for the fiends and fiend beasts. Young fiends could not avoid eating. They relied on eating these fiend beasts and spirit plants to survive. The fiend tribe that Xueqi was in was not large. There were 4 yuanying fiends, and 20 to 30 golden core fiends. This strength could be considered a top-notch faction in Beiyuan. However, this was the strength that they had accumulated over several thousand years. If not for the fact that Beiyuan could not produce yuanying cultivators before, any major faction could defeat them. To the fiends, the environment in Absolute Heaven Abyss was also extremely harsh. The growth of special spirit plants was also not good. Therefore, the fiends' numbers had always been small. Like Xueqi's tribe, which occupied more than 30,000 miles of Absolute Heaven Abyss, there were only several thousand blood fiends. Chapter 895. The Absolute Heaven Abyss extended westward to the depths of the West Sea, and eastward to the east of the Demon Islands. The length of the Absolute Heaven Abyss was incalculable, and there were many demons living in it. Wang Daoyuan had asked Sword Immortal Gui Yuan why he didn't kill all the demons. Sword Immortal Gui Yuan's explanation was that all the demons in the Qianyuan world had been wiped out, but there were still demons outside the Qianyuan world. The deepest part of the Absolute Heaven Abyss led to the outside of the Qianyuan world. Only a small number of the current demons were descendants of the demons who invaded back then. Most of them came from outside the Qianyuan world. No one had the ability to block such a big crack in the Absolute Heaven Abyss. Many Earth Immortals and mighty figures could only use arrays to block the erosion of the Absolute Heaven Abyss from the north and south. If the demons could invade the Qianyuan world, it meant that the location of the Qianyuan world had been exposed. Even if all the demons were killed, there would still be new demons coming. Therefore, there could only be a powerful force to suppress the Absolute Heaven Abyss. Sword Immortal Gui Yuan had this strength, and he had already passed away. In addition, the Heavenly Tao and other Earth Immortals and mighty figures feared him, so he became the person to suppress the Absolute Heaven Abyss. Of course, these demons weren't fools. When they cultivated to the peak of yuanying, they would pass through the crack in the deepest part of the Absolute Heaven Abyss and break through to the semi-god realm outside the Qianyuan world, and never come back. The Absolute Heaven Abyss became a foothold for the demons to attack the Qianyuan world, unless someone could block the Absolute Heaven Abyss. Otherwise, the demons here would never be wiped out. After learning about the situation of the demons, he also helped Sword Immortal Gui Yuan recover some of his strength. With his current strength, he couldn't care about the demons at all. He simply left the Absolute Heaven Abyss and returned to the Blood Shadow headquarters. His cultivation had reached the peak of yuanying, and there was no hope for him to continue to improve in Beiyuan. If he wanted to break through to the semi-god realm, he had to go to the Sea of Seven Stars. Before leaving, he had to leave some backup plans. He didn't want his nest to be raided the moment he left. After returning to the Blood Shadow headquarters, he went to the courtyard where he and Xueqi lived. Xueqi was also in the small courtyard. When she saw him return, She was pleasantly surprised. Why did you go for a year? Absolute Heaven Abyss was abnormally dangerous. Among Bloodshadow's ancestors, quite a few had gone in to investigate before. Even a Yuaniing cultivator would find it difficult to hold on for too long. If not for knowing that you have a secret realm on you that can last for a very long time in the Absolute Heaven Abyss, I would have gone to look for you long ago. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Don't worry, how can I die so easily? Look, I'm perfectly fine now. I even made a breakthrough in my cultivation and became a peak Yuaniing cultivator." His previous cultivation was still some distance away from the peak of Yuaniing. It would take decades for Yuaniing cultivators to raise their cultivation by even a little bit. Even if he had a heavenly spirit root, it was unlikely that he could raise his cultivation to the peak of Yuaniing in such a short time. How did you do it? There was no spiritual energy in Absolute Heaven Abyss at all. Those black chi were extremely violent. Even ferocious beasts with divine beast bloodlines couldn't withstand the impact of the black chi. Wang Daoyuan had a naughty smile on his face. My physical body isn't inferior to ferocious beasts. Others don't know this, but don't you know? Zhou Wan pinched his waist, causing Wang Daoyuan to grimace in pain. I'm talking to you about serious matters. Don't interrupt. I found the place where Guiyuan's sword immortal passed away in meditation in Absolute Heaven Abyss. His soul turned into the artifact spirit of the level 8 Guiyuan sword. Those earth immortals and powerhouses even set up a formation. They converted the black chi in Absolute Heaven Abyss into heterogeneous spiritual energy to provide power for the Guiyuan sword, allowing it to suppress the devils in Absolute Heaven Abyss. Also, Guiyuan's sword immortal's second disciple would go to Absolute Heaven Abyss every 10,000 years to replenish his sword intent. Guiyuan's sword immortal's soul had been preserved until now. When I was in Qixing Si Xiuxian community, I received Guiyuan's sword immortal's inheritance and even comprehended the Guiyuan's sword intent. Therefore, he also took me in as his third personal disciple. I used spiritual fire to help him refine the heterogeneous spiritual energy, allowing him to recover his spiritual energy. I also used the Guiyuan sword diagram that he left behind before he passed away to help him recover some of his sword intent. I also absorbed some high-level spiritual energy, and with Guiyuan's sword immortal's guidance, I naturally broke through. Wang Daoyuan had also told Zhou Wan some things about Guiyuan's sword immortal before, so he had some understanding of him. Hearing this, she was so shocked that she couldn't speak for a long time. Then she said, "The person who cut Mount Ancestral Dragon in half with one sword and created Absolute Heaven Abyss was actually your master? Is there even a need to say it? Not only am I the sword immortal's successor, I'm also the father of the Valley of Beasts sect master." Zhou Wan had a look of disdain. Getting carried away with just a bit of ability, I'm also the mother of the Valley of Beasts sect master. Now that we've finished talking about unimportant matters, let's talk about serious matters. Now that we're all Yuaniing cultivators with remarkable abilities, our children will definitely have heavenly spirit roots. Moreover, there's a great chance that they'll have special constitutions. My bloodline is few in number, and I still want to spread my bloodline. Why don't we hurry up? A month later, Wang Daoyuan was forging a 3-inch long small sword in the courtyard. Zhou Wan usually had to deal with official business, so she stayed in the courtyard alone with nothing to do. His alchemy, smithing, and array skills had all reached the mid-grade of the 5th level. Only his talisman crafting skills had remained at the low grade of the 4th level. Since he didn't need to increase his cultivation now, he would spend some time improving his talisman crafting skills. With his current divine sense and cultivation, crafting a 4th level sword talisman couldn't be easier. He quickly refined the small sword into a magic tool. Just as he was about to inscribe runes, Zhou Wan brought 2 people into the courtyard. Wang Daoyuan knew both of them. One was Su Qinghe, the head of the Su family, and the other was Wang Tonglai, a disciple of the Wang family. Daoyuan, Elder Su intends to marry into the Wang family. After all, I'm only the daughter-in-law of the Wang family, and with you here, I can't make the decision on my own. It's better for you to decide on this matter. I've brought them here. Su Qinghe and Wang Tonglai both bowed to him, then Su Qinghe said with a smile, "Retired Emperor, I see that Wang Tonglai is a talented man, and his cultivation talent is also not bad. I have a daughter who's also in the late stage of the Foundation establishment realm, and her talent is similar to Tonglai's, and they're about the same age. So I want to tie the knot and betroth my daughter to Tong Lai. As Tong Lai's elder, I naturally need your approval on this matter. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, the Su family is also one of us, so there's naturally no problem with a marriage alliance. Although I'm an elder, I can't force a junior on this matter. As long as Tong Lai is willing, I naturally have no objections. Tong Lai, what do you think? When Wang Daoyuan said that the Su family was one of them, Su Qinghe also had a pleasantly surprised look on his face. Although the Wang family's foundation was relatively shallow, they had Wang Daoyuan, the #1 expert in Beiyuan, holding the fort. In addition, there was a huge amount of resources in the sky-beheading mountain range, and the endless space for expansion in the East Sea. It wasn't impossible for them to surpass the other 4 top forces in the future. Now that they had a relationship with the Wang family, it was a matter of small capital and huge profits. Wang Tonglia's skin was still a bit thin, and he stammered for a long time before saying, "Great-grandson is willing." Su Qinghe was overjoyed. Wang Daoyuan nodded. In that case, this matter is settled. As the great-grandfather, it's not suitable for me to personally handle this matter. As for how to prepare the marriage, Digong will be in charge. He's Tong Lai's uncle, so his seniority is just right. Su Qinghe cupped his hands and said, "Thank you, retired emperor, I'll bring Tong Lai to invite Daoyu Digong." Then, the two of them walked out of the small courtyard. This Su Qinghe really knows how to go with the flow. Now he's already calling Digong Daoyu Digong. This child Tong Lai isn't bad either. He looks quite dull, but his actions aren't slow. He's only been apprenticed for a little more than a year, and he's already tricked senior sister. Zhou Wan glanced at him. How many honest people are there in the Wang family? Most of them are similar to you. They look like gentlemen, but they're actually full of evil tricks. Wang Daoyuan was unhappy. Isn't second brother an honest person? Which senior who met him didn't say that he's honest? Besides, you were the one who conspired against me first. Chapter 896. 10 days later, Wang Digong brought Wang Tonglai to the small courtyard. Seeing them come over, Wang Daoyuan asked, "What's wrong? Have you finished preparing Tonglia's wedding?" Wang Digong bowed. "There's no need for us to prepare anything. The residence for Tonglia's wedding was gifted by the Su clan. As for the other arrangements, they were also taken care of by the Su clan. The wedding date is set to be 3 months later. However, our Wang clan is still one of the top powers in the East. We need some betrothal gifts to marry the daughter of the Su clan master. I don't dare to make this decision on my own. Granduncle, please make the decision." Wang Daoyuan said, "If our Wang clan wants to gain a foothold in Blood Shadow, we need people to support us. The Zhang clan isn't on good terms with us. Those cultivators who aren't direct descendants are like a sheet of loose sand and can be easily roped in. If we want to gain the support of more than half of Blood Shadow's cultivators, we need to do our best to rope them in." Su Qinghe has even prepared a residence for the wedding. This shows his sincerity. The Su clan's ancestor was the founder of Blood Shadow and has tens of thousands of years of history. Since they've shown their sincerity, we can't be too shabby. He took out a few storage pouches from the space within the Spirit Pearl. Here are 3 mid-grade 4th-grade defensive magic tools and 6 low-grade 4th-grade defensive magic tools. There are also 100 purple cloud pills, 2 purple cloud wood cores, and 50 jade marrow origin fostering pills. In addition, there are also 20 jugs of 100-year-old 4th-grade spirit wine, 100 fruit wine. These gifts could allow 2 foundation establishment cultivators to establish their Violet Palace and allow 1 person to withstand the core formation Heavenly Tribulation. Even if he was marrying a peak Violet Palace realm female cultivator, it would still be a generous gift. This was also to set an example for the other elders of Blood Shadow. It was to tell them that as long as they followed the Wang clan, they would be able to eat meat. Looking at the storage pouches in Wang Daoyuan's hands, Wang Digong and Wang Tonglai were a bit stunned. They knew the value of these things. A Violet Palace realm cultivator who was proficient in pills, tools, and talisman formations would struggle their entire lives to earn so many things. Now that he was marrying a late foundation establishment woman, he was taking out such a generous gift. Wang Tonglai quickly said, "Thank you for your generosity, but it's just your great-grandson's wedding. It's not worth spending so much money on it. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and said, "There's no need for that. This thing isn't just a betrothal gift, it's also a sign of our Wang family's attitude towards the Blood Shadow Elders. Let them know that as long as they are willing to submit to the Wang clan, there will be many benefits." Wang Tonglai thanked him profusely and left the courtyard with Wang Digong. They went to the Su family to present the betrothal gifts. 3 months passed quickly, and the day of the wedding had arrived. Wang Tonglai led a few disciples of the Wang family to carry the bridal sedan chair to the Su family's main spiritual mountain in the north of the city, according to the rules of the Wang family. Those who participated in this matter were all cultivators, so their speed was naturally not slow. 15 minutes later, everyone returned to the residence in the northern part of Blood Shadow City. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Luan were already waiting for them in the courtyard. The Su family was quite generous. This house had 3 courtyards, and there were 2 side courtyards on both sides of the main courtyard. In a place like Blood Shadow City, any small courtyard was worth a lot, let alone a large courtyard like this. Although Beiyuan Xiuxian did not have the custom of bowing to the heavens and earth, there were still rules for newlyweds to bow to their elders. After the 2 of them greeted Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Luan, they entered the bridal chamber. There was a banquet in the courtyard. Most of the Blood Shadow Elders who were not direct descendants were present. The Su family sent a few elders to send the bride off. The Zhang family was not on good terms with the Wang family and the Su family, so Zhang Dingming only sent a golden core cultivator from his grandson's generation to congratulate them. Wang Daoyuan led Zhou Luan to the courtyard. He picked up a cup of wine and cupped his hands to everyone. "Today is the day that my great-grandson Wang Tonglai is marrying the daughter of the Su family's patriarch. Thank you for coming." The most powerful cultivator in Beiyuan was toasting, so the guests naturally did not dare to delay. They all stood up and drank their cups. After the toast, Wang Daoyuan said, "I still have important matters to attend to, so I can't stay for long. Digong will take care of everyone on my behalf." He and Zhou Luan were both Yuanying cultivators. Naturally, they could not personally receive these golden core elders. The 2 of them walked out of the courtyard. Wang Digong and a few Su family cultivators helped to receive the guests. Wang Daoyuan returned to the courtyard of the Zhou mansion, while Zhou Luan went to take care of business. The next day, Su Qinghe came again with a young man behind him. This young man looked very similar to Su Qinghe. He was at the middle stage of the Zifu realm. Moreover, he was a wind-type cultivator. When the 2 of them saw Wang Daoyuan, they bowed. Wang Daoyuan smiled and asked, "Our families are in-laws. There's no need to be so polite. Elder Su, what brings you here?" Su Qinghe cupped his hands and said, "This is my son, Su Yifeng. My wife gave birth to 3 children. Yifeng is my second son. In the future, the position of the Su family head will naturally be inherited by the eldest son. Although this child's talent is slightly inferior to his elder brother, he still has a wind spiritual root of 8.6 inches. Moreover, he is extremely intelligent and handles matters well. If he becomes an idle elder in the future, it will be a waste of his talent. I want to ask for a future for Yifeng and let him go to the Yen Kingdom to ask for a job." This was a bit interesting. Any big family would have a few backup plans. It was not uncommon for a family to have many branches. For example, the Zhou family was divided into many small countries. Their clansmen were all over Beiyuan. Even in the southern wasteland, there were many demonic cultivators surnamed Zhou. It could be said that as long as the Beiyuan human clan did not perish, the Zhou family's bloodline would not be cut off. When Su Qinghe proposed to establish a branch in the Yen Kingdom, it was a bit of a show of allegiance. Moreover, this Su Yifeng's talent was not weak. The 3 strange spiritual roots were not a single spiritual root. The probability of having a wind spiritual root of 9 inches and above was extremely low. 8.6 inches was already an extremely high talent. It seemed that the Su family also attached great importance to this backup plan. In the Wang family's territory, a quarter of Shanbei and 2/3 of Linhai could be settled in other families. The territory was big enough, but they were all in a state of lack of manpower. A large number of spirit veins were not taken care of. Even if there were resources, they could not be developed. Those who were willing to join the Wang family could completely establish their power in those territories. If Su Yifeng worked in the Yan kingdom, he could also pull the relationship between the two families. For the two families, this was a win-win situation. The Wang family gave the Su family a way out, and the Su family paved the way for the Wang family to lead the blood shadow. Wang Daoyuan thought for a moment and said, "Working in the Yan kingdom is naturally not a problem. There are still a lot of empty territories in the Yan kingdom. We have a quarter of Shanbei's territory and hundreds of rank 4 spirit veins. In time, these spirit veins have the potential to grow to rank 5. Shanbei has been ravaged by demon beasts, but no one has developed the spirit veins. The Yan kingdom has been recruiting rogue cultivators. If you make a contribution, you can get the spirit veins. With little friend Yifeng's talent and strength, plus the relationship between our two families, we can easily give him a rank 4 spirit vein. It's not a problem to give them a level 4 spirit vein directly. It's just right for the Su family to expand in the north of the mountain." Hearing this, Su Qinghe's face was full of excitement. "Thank you for your grace, Grand Emperor." Yifeng quickly thanked Grand Emperor. Su Qinghe also had a plan in mind. The resources and properties of the Blood Shadow were mostly public property of the Blood Shadow headquarters. Although he was in a high position, he did not directly control many resources. If he wanted to use the resources, he still had to wrangle with the Zhang family. Now that he could get a rank 4 spirit vein that had the potential to grow to rank 5, his development potential was much stronger than the underground cave of the Blood Shadow headquarters. In the future, when the Wang family disciples entered the Blood Shadow headquarters in large numbers, they would definitely have a very high voice. This thing was not like other things. If the Wang family took more, the other factions would naturally take less. In the long run, his voice in the Blood Shadow would also be damaged. Going against the Wang family was courting death. He might as well take the initiative to give up the voice. In the future, the Su family could completely focus on the Yan kingdom. The Blood Shadow headquarters could just be a branch and maintain its existence. This way, they could ensure that there would be no conflict with the Wang family and also obtain more benefits. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.